The Soul Stream has begun. Mortal Kombat Online and the Realmcast live show, bringing you the latest news, thrilling interviews, and much more, all live and in real time. And the best part, you can be part of the action. So join our conversation by chatting in the live chat, wherever you hear our voices. Was that intro music a little loud, Yanni?
I was like just waiting for it to like. On one hand, I was waiting for the episode to kick in, and on the other hand, I was like, no, this shouldn't stop.
I am your host, the Mortal Kombat Phantom, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master, Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thank you, Phantom. And I think today is our 8th and also returning Soulstream guest in similar fashion to our last returning guest, the Force Snake. We finally managed to bring you back. History Behind the Warrior. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's super nice to be back. And like you said, it has been a hot minute. And, thank you for having me on. It's lovely to have all these amazing people in chat joining us as well. But, thank you two for bringing me back here and doing such amazing and lovely content for the channel.
Speaking of which, let me turn on that chat just so you guys can participate. So keep in mind, you can chat with us live on YouTube, Facebook, let's see what else, Discord, which that's something new that we're trying out, and then also Twitch. So jump on there and, talk to us. Because
I'm curious if anybody is on Discord and typing there, actually mention that you're on Discord, because this is the first time we're testing that today. So that'd be pretty cool to see if it works.
I'm typing it now. Let's see what happens.
Okay, we'll test it ourselves. Okay, Thanos.
All right, so today we got a few topics to discuss, including some Mortal Kombat movie news, which was not really expected at all.
No.
We have Ed's tweets regarding Mortal Kombat 12, the upcoming Mortal Kombat 12 announcement, and our big discussion topic today with History Behind the Warrior, which is an MK12 timeline reboot and what this could mean to the overarching narrative
As you
of
like,
Mortal
depends
Kombat.
on your dialect.
Yeah. So we'll begin to this after the Mortal Kombat news. Also, if you want to, you can just go to realmcast.com. That'll link you to mortalkombatonline.com, and there are different links to how you can join the chat with us. So welcome, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of people here from the get-go. So that's awesome. And Phantom, I think the test has failed. Discord chat is not working on the comments, as far as I can tell.
So if you are part of the Mortal Kombat Online Discord, it doesn't look like it's able to work yet. We'll figure that out for the next show probably. But in the meantime, YouTube, Facebook, what else? Twitch. I'm used to saying Spotify, iTunes, everything we air the Realmcast on, but...
I just saw it's just me, Mark, at Realmcast. I was the one who tagged you on Twitter about the spaceship in the teaser. Yep, I saw that. Everybody's been pointing out some interesting things. I've gotten comments ranging from Onaga's eyes to spaceship, as you said, and a lot more. Some things which were a bit more vulgar than I would have imagined would be in the trailer, but, whatever you see works. Before we do get into it, though, I have to comment on this history. Firstly, I love the mouse pad. That is beautiful.
Thank you very much. I love it a lot as well. I picked it up for a pretty penny, and these were only going for I got quite lucky because these sold out in 2 or 3 hours. So
I wanted one.
Sorry.
But was that MK? I'm gonna say logo, but that's more of a trophy, if anything. Was that there last time we chatted?
Yes. So this is a literal one-of-a-kind trophy. I picked this up when I won the first Influencer Mortal Kombat 11 tournament back in 2019 for the WB pre-release. So I've had this ever since. It needs a good shine, as you can see. But yeah, no, this is a literal one-of-a-kind gem, and it's big prize possession.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I can't remember who won when we played each other in MK11. I'm just going to pretend that I won and that I deserve that.
I like that concept. I like that.
I probably got my ass beat. So, welcome everybody. Great to see, as I said, so many people in the chat. And I guess we should jump right into it because we got a bit to discuss today, right, Phantom?
Yeah, we do. Yanni, why don't you kick us off with some news? Before we jump into the Mortal Kombat 12 stuff, let's talk about some Mortal Kombat movies. What is happening?
Okay, so a little disclaimer here, firstly, everybody. we have shared some leaked auditions. Well, no, we've reshared some auditions were, I say leaked, but they were actually made publicly viewable to everybody really, and those were going around the community, and we reshared them, and we actually did decide to take them down in respect to the potential cast as well as the team working on the movie. We will be discussing them now, but we're going to be trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. The videos, as we said, were shared publicly to allow them to be found, but we feel it's the right decision because, it's I don't know, it doesn't feel right if nobody's chosen yet. It could affect, the choices and everything. So this is probably the best way that we feel is to go about this, really.
There was some good audition tapes too, but like Yanni said, it's just an audition tape. Nobody's been chosen for anything yet. So that's kind of where the decision came down to as well. This isn't an official casting, but what is interesting is the topics of conversation that came up regarding the movies. History, are you okay if we dive into this a little bit? Because I don't want to
go ahead.
Spoil the movie at all. And, also, so they're reading dialogues from scripts, and the scripts that are out there, these could be still early versions of the script, or, they could have just been test reads to try out some stuff. But it does give us a lot of insight into what is going to happen in Mortal Kombat movie, the second movie. Yanni, do you want to go into any, or do you want me to just kind of spill the beans on everything? I don't know.
Well, I mean, before you do that, as you just said, it could be, I say red herring. It could just be dialogue that's been written for these auditions. It could be completely unrelated. It could be the actual script. Who knows? But one thing that I do like is that sort of, I say, knowledge of the lore. Because some parts of it's going to be its own take on the lore, of course, but at the same time, it is nice to see that depth, I suppose, already, even just in the auditions themselves. But feel free to kick us off. And hi, everybody who keeps joining and saying hi. We are trying to say hi to everybody as we can, but there's a lot of you today, and that's awesome. So
there's a lot of comments coming through. Like, I'm trying to keep up with them as we're talking. Dre the Prophecy says, I can't support the second movie after the last one. There's a lot of people that feel that way that weren't fans of the first Mortal Kombat movie. But I'll say this, the scripts that were being read during auditions, I am actually excited for the movie because, no offense to any of the writing in the last one, we've talked about it in a lot of our breakdowns with our script insider and things like that. But the previous scripts were kind of held tightly from the original concept that came from Mortal Kombat Legacy, or was it Legacy, right? So the what Kevin Tanchirian's initial web series for Mortal Kombat.
I gotta comment here because every single time I hear you say his name, I just it's ranged from Tanchurian to Tancharan, and I don't know where you've got. Is it Tancharoan? That's how I've always said it. What's your take on this history?
The right answer is that I don't have an answer, but I'm going to say yes to both.
Yes.
that way I'm not wrong, and it works either way. But honestly, that name, I think it actually might be a Thai name, funny enough. But I think it's different on what dialect it's spoken from in Thai.
Well, so Kevin Takaran's original script, it got handed off to the studio. And the studio kind of kept stuff around, and what we got with Mortal Kombat was a lot of them salvaging what they could while the studio still insisted on they hang on to stuff. So with the new script auditions that we received, there's basically been 4 or so readings that have come out. And in these readings, we got to see people portraying Shao Kahn, people portraying Jade, and people portraying an unknown person who seems like an oracle, or it could be the mother of Katana, Sindel. So,
I don't see that one, but we can get into that when we get there.
All right. So, the Jade audition. The person that is playing Jade is talking to Shao Kahn and talking about her time. What was it? That she had kind of been plucked out of the slave pits. And oh, sorry, we just got a comment here.
I had to pull this one up. It's just too good.
I am going to say and point out, I love my girlfriend because she understands. That's her.
Great to have you on here too.
Valerie Val says it's pronounced Jonathan.
Kevin Jonathan. There we go. That's the canon pronunciation of his name from now on.
So back to Jade's audition. Yeah, she's talking to Shao Kahn and about some rebels kind of sneaking in and how they're trying to retrieve an amulet for Raiden. So, that kind of blows the doors wide open on possibilities. Maybe they're trying to retrieve Raiden's amulet. It could be Shinnok's. Who knows? But it's cool that they're kind of incorporating, elements like this. And like I said, he talked about plucking Jade out of the slave pit and kind of making her into who she is. There's a lot of kind of Mortal Kombat lore getting sprinkled into this one. Kind of like, they did with the first movie where they had a lot of background. The set designers tried to do stuff like show the Great Kung Lao on murals and having Katana's fans in the background and stuff like that. Or even Shinnok's amulet was...
Shinnok's amulet too, yeah.
Yeah, so... I don't know. So it's interesting. It's an interesting read that's out there, having her read through the script. And I don't want to go into too many spoilers on what the reading does, but so I'm not going to tell where the story's going with it. There's some clever little twists that they're doing with it. Another one was the readings for Shao Kahn, which he's talking to Katana. He's kind of talking about wanting to be family with her and reuniting her family and stuff like that. And he challenges her. He's like, I told you to go out there and win, and you disobeyed my orders. And it sounds like he wanted her to finish somebody, and she didn't do it. And she's like, I told you I'd win for you, but I didn't say I'd kill for you. And so there's like this relationship dynamic. And the one thing about these leaked scripts or these script readings, I can't call them leaked scripts, but they really show much better writing, in my opinion. There's a lot more depth to the characters. And, I'm actually really excited for Mortal Kombat 2 because of this coming out.
Yeah, that is actually something that I think we also shared when we actually talked about the first script, the first movie's version of the script that we went through, because we were able to compare the script with older variations of it. And as we've already discussed about the first movie script, now I've seen that, the reception to the first movie is polarizing. You got some people who loved it, some people who hated it, some people like, okay, in the middle, but they wish they did this and they wish they did that. And one thing that really did stand out and seems to be in a lot of rumors is that there was really executive interference. Yeah. So that is something that we all need to really bear in mind. When it comes to these sort of things, it might not always be the fault of the writer, for example. Now, one of the amazing things about this movie, in my opinion, is that the writer is Jeremy Slater, who did Moon Knight, for example. I loved Moon Knight, and he's done a lot of other things, which on one hand help his case, and on the other hand don't. Death Note, But like Moon Knight,
also on Fantastic Four.
The
bad one, the really bad one. But like I said, that tides change and people learn, so could be exactly good.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We have some positives. And by the way, hi to everybody. Delara, nice to see you. Bassett Games, everybody. Archivo. But I feel like we're already seeing a step up in quality of writing just based on those auditions compared to the previous movie script. Because the previous movie script really, it felt like, for example, Cole Young. Was it Cole Young in the end? I don't remember what they decided on for the name. But
just call him Lewis Tan.
Cole's Small.
We'll get past all of it.
Cole Jonathan. So Cole Jonathan. Cole felt like one of those characters who was kind of pushed into the movie, and he could have actually worked a lot better than he ended up doing in the end. But that felt like a lot of executive interference rather than the studio. So this one feels like it's going to have less. And the quality of knowledge, at least, of the lore, it seems a lot better already just from what we've seen at the auditions. So, go into it with an open mind. First movie did not have the budget either. It really didn't. And as far as I can tell with this one, the budget doesn't seem to have increased as much as we hoped it would. But at the same time, there's something good that we can expect. Artlene, I agree with Artlene. Everybody loves Artlene, the legend.
So that kind of leads us into the last leaked audition tape or public audition tape that people kind of picked up, and this one has been the most interesting to me. So it involves basically Katana talking to this character, a serious character. We don't know the name of the character or who this person's auditioning as, and she is apologizing, and they're kind of going through this dialogue. But what's interesting to me is at the end of it, Katana hands her like a vial or something, or a potion that she drinks, and she passes away. And in the earlier scripts, there's mention of Katana going and seeing the Oracle and things like that. So it could be that Shao Kahn's trapped this Oracle being, or my just kind of fan theory that I'm throwing out there is that this could be Sindel taking poison in order to die, to kind of lead into a Mortal Kombat 3 movie. What do you guys, based off of my very horrible description of these audition tapes, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that...
You're talking about the audition or the games?
This is... I'm joking. Not on the games just yet, but we'll get there too.
What do you think, History? Have you actually seen the tapes? I didn't ask that.
So, I've seen all of the tapes. Funny enough, I actually had a script written up about it, but I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about this either and put it out in public. So
yeah,
same boat in that sense. If I was to guess, the only other role that seems to have been available is Sindel, so I'm gonna guess maybe. It could be just a minor role or character, but considering the status of the other two audition tapes that did come out, it wouldn't be hard to believe that, that's in the realm of possibility at the very least.
Yanni, you had an interesting theory, and I would kind of like to hear more about this because I've avoided talking to you about this until the show.
So I thought that, okay, yes, while Sindel may be an option because, the whole poison, etc., they do mention Oracle, and a lot of it seems to be very mystical in nature. I'm really trying to do this without spoiling, guys, sorry. But my take on it was it could potentially be Delia.
Now, refresh our listeners who aren't familiar with 3D era Mortal Kombat.
Actually, we have another lore master on the show. History, please take the forefront.
Well, Delia was one of the kind of gods of Edenia alongside Argus, held up in extremely high esteem. Delia was kind of seen as an oracle to the rest of the Mortal Kombat universe, being the mother of Taven and Dagon, foreseer of Armageddon as well, kind of predicting the oncoming future of, what could happen or what may happen. Didn't see that timeline reboot though, but still, even with that said, the possibility always kind of, was on the table. And I suppose even in this instance, in context with the tape itself, the idea actually bleeds over really well.
Did she die in the background story in Armageddon?
I'm pretty sure she did. I think both her and Argus got killed by a mad Dagon.
Dagon, yeah.
Okay.
And this is one part that I don't remember. Am I right in saying that she created Blaze?
Yes, it was. She kind of thought of the idea, and I think Argus actually formed him.
That was it. Okay, yeah. So that's one thing that I found very interesting, and why it might not be her, because if it is, then we're already skipping right through into a sort of Armageddon territory.
Playing against me in chat.
Keep up these comments. I need you to go all in on him today.
For people who are just listening, comment is she died? Dude, spoilers.
But it'll be very interesting to see if they actually went through the Delia approach at this point, because she should be long gone by this point. Spoiler alert. But it does kind of sound like her, and that's the thing. I got the vibe that it could be Delia.
Ooh,
Maybe.
sense.
Yeah.
What if Cole is Taven?
Oh my god. Okay, so that's another thing. There have been no audition tapes for people interacting with Cole. Every interaction's been with Katana so far. So it kind of makes me wonder where this movie's going to go, because they're definitely casting for these characters, and they're not casting yet for people, or we haven't seen casting for people interacting with Cole. So,
well, not just that. To be fair to the character of Cole, we haven't really seen many interactions aside from. I just see all these comments and I try not to laugh, but we haven't seen many interactions really. And in fact, all we have seen is what we've just talked about right now. We've seen Jade, we've seen Kitana, we've seen Shao Kahn, and potentially Sindel or Delia or whoever could be a minor character, as we've said. And if you remember from our last Soul stream, we actually mentioned that Hiroyuki Sanada has apparently not been approached regarding his return to the MK movie sequel. Now, could this be him just saying that? Could it be that they haven't gotten that far yet? You never know. I don't believe that they're going to get rid of Scorpion, in which case, you would assume that either Hiroyuki is returning or Louis Tan is going to take up that role as Scorpion's descendant. We'll see what happens there. I doubt it, considering the ability that they gave Cole. Phantom, I know you love his ability. What do you call it?
wicker basket armor.
You know what? I'm surprised you didn't go with literal plot armor, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, the birthmark. It's a birthmark.
He was born with it.
So funny thing, I make fun of him for having the wicker basket armor, but I was looking up stuff earlier today, and let me share my screen here. So this is concept art from. Oh wait, maybe this is the right one. No, this is not the right one. Hold on.
No, we've actually already talked about this one in the past.
Yeah, that's some concept that somebody came up with, which is amazing, but not the one I wanted to show you guys.
You know, we're making fun of the plot armor right now, but I have to admit, I kind of like the concept of it, personally.
here's the thing. I kind of like it, but I've also I'm more familiar with it because of Black Panther and how it kind of works. So I'm I'm kind of torn on it. I'm it's there, but it's not the newest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, fair enough. The same can be said for the tonfa that he gets. I mean, Tanya, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
All right,
that's
so-
influenced by
sorry.
Kitana, just stealing everyone's stuff.
His arcana is actually going to be that he takes other people's abilities.
That, there's an X-Men that does that.
There's also a Mortal Kombat character, Shang.
Right.
This is the Realm cast, Phantom, not the X-Men cast.
Okay, so this is the design studio that came up with the concept for Cole's plot armor, and they kind of go through and show off some of the inspirations. And what I thought was amazing, some of the inspirations is tying threads around rocks or something. But
As you do.
what's amazing is at the very bottom of their stuff, can I have a round of applause, please? It is a literal wicker basket. So
I mean, why are you shocked? That was literally what it was inspired by. We all knew this.
I'm just excited.
Shujinko too, by the way, yeah. Good point.
Oh gosh, I miss Shujinko.
Yeah. I mean, I went straight to Shang, the OG, but yeah, Shujinko totally counts.
Oh, okay, so people are asking for Mortal Kombat 12. We're not quite there yet.
Can we talk Mortal Kombat 12 now? You gotta go. Not yet, man. Not yet. Gotta hold out a little bit longer. Almost there. Almost.
One other thing was there is another actor that announced that they're making audition tapes, and they are from the same area. They're Indo-Chinese American actor, but they live over there where they're filming Mortal Kombat, Australia, New Zealand area. And so there's been a lot of speculation that this could possibly be Kuai Liang being cast in the new movie. And part of that is because they do talk about some resurrection of some characters too. So make it for a very interesting dynamic if we got a young Sub-Zero in there with interacting with some other resurrected characters who I'm trying not to completely spoil, but yeah. I mean, I think that's all my Mortal Kombat movie news. Oh no, wait, sorry, we got one more thing, which is
we got one more very important thing.
Yeah, how could I forget this one? Yanni, go ahead, I'll pull it up.
So there were leaks about a certain actor from The Boys potentially joining for the Mortal Kombat movie sequel. And when Uncaged Games asked straight up, is this true? Producer Todd Garner came in and said one word: true.
True.
It looks like we have Carl Urban, plays Billy Butcher in The Boys, as Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. Now, this is a very interesting choice, and I'm very curious to hear what everybody thinks of this one, because I'm seeing opinions from all over the place on this. I love it. Oh, I hate it. I want to hear. Firstly, where do you two stand on this? History, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So, I love Carl Urban. He's great in everything he's in. He always puts in like 100%. Now, in saying that, when I look at Carl Urban, I don't think Johnny Cage. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm completely robbed of the idea to see him play the character, because 100%, please prove me wrong. Please do it, because I want to see it.
Like, I'm just looking at Phantom pulling up this picture, but yeah, keep going.
I'm 100% down just to see what he can do with the character off his like acting premise alone. So I'm super cool with it. Is it the first actor that comes into mind? I can't say it is, but you know what? Let's let it rock. Let's see how it goes, because no one expected Kano to be as good as he was, and look how that turned out. So you know what? Let's see how the ball rolls.
So, what do you think?
Now, it's not confirmed that he is playing, just that he is in final talks of playing.
Yes.
So we haven't got any final confirmation for that. But you know, a lot of people, especially us who watch The Boys, we kind of forget what he looks like outside of his big rough and gruff version of him. So
is it Johnny?
That's not Johnny Cage. This is actually actor Carl Urban.
You fooled me.
It's kind of funny because he's become so recognizable from his role in The Boys now that we forget what he looked like when he was on these other shows. Like I think he was on the Born Supremacy and Judge Dredd. Yeah, exactly. And he was a great Judge Dredd. And so he's got a very good range of what he can play. So I think he can pull it off. It's not my first idea because I always think of him as, you know, the character from The Boys and kind of like these more tough characters rather than the cheesy, hammy Johnny Cage. But I think he's a good actor. He can do it. So we'll see.
Yeah, so firstly, Tak has an extremely good point here. His name begins with K. There is obviously no better choice, apart from the fact that Johnny Cage spells his name with a C. So, now, one thing that I'm noticing a lot with just fandoms in general nowadays is, here's Johnny, but is that we typecast a lot. We really do. We look at a specific actor and we think, you know, they played this person before, so they would fit as this character instead. So we're doing that right now. Billy Butcher, oh, Kano, perfect. Or Jarek, you know, they've got beards, they've got goatees, whatever you want to say. They act a certain way. He has a look more for Kano, but his sense of humor fits 100%. So this, I feel, is actually unfair to actors, because you don't want an actor who can only fulfill one certain type of role. You want an actor who's able to do anything, right?
Hold on.
Most. Yes,
so,
Phantom.
Okay, you have you seen Fast and Furious?
No, I stay away from that since I was a kid.
It's about family, and I don't know if you know this, but okay, so there's an actress on there, and she plays Dom's girlfriend, and she actually deliberately gets typecasted for this very badass Latina woman, and so like every time
Oh,
she
I know
goes
what you're
into-
talking about.
yeah, and she does that specifically because she's like, hey, I know I can play this character. I'm gonna make money this way. So, and she does it good. Like every time she's in a movie, it's her. And you know, there's also Jason Statham, which anytime Jason Statham's in a movie, it's Jason Statham playing Jason Statham. So, you know, I don't mind if action heroes get cast as
Sure.
as themselves or whatever, or this character they play. But yeah, I do hear what you're saying.
No, that's a fair point. I don't think I worded it correctly. I'm not saying that you shouldn't only, like, it's wrong for an actor to only be typecast, but I feel like it's unfair to judge somebody because they're not immediately who you would typecast them as. So, for example, let's just say, going with these, stereotypical sort of roles, The Rock. In my opinion, The Rock seems to play a very similar character most of the time in most of the movies that he plays. That's his sort of role, as he would say, know your role and shut your mouth. So fair enough to him, right? But then Karl Urban, I don't know. It just feels unfair to go with that immediately. Do I think he'd be a great Kano? 100%. I guarantee he'd do an amazing job. But aside from the fact that we're not talking about family right now, you guys are distracting me so bad. So, but I just feel like while there may have been options that we may all have been hoping for instead, this could potentially work. For example, I really, really wanted Scott Adkins as Johnny Cage. I think he would have fit in perfectly. But that's me typecasting in a way. You know what I mean? Then again, if you watch the latest John Wick, it's not exactly along those lines, to be fair. But that's another perfect example. I'm not going to sit here and spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, but
like
you get
Phantom.
like Phantom, yes. But you get certain actors who will play characters who you don't even realize it's them. And they do such a brilliant job. And I feel like Karl Urban is definitely a good enough actor to be able to pull off Johnny Cage. So this comes down to more of, will he be able to fulfill what he needs to for the role, rather than does he fit the role, if you get what I mean.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to make them one thing every time, because especially because it shows their range and offers them new opportunities. But I'd rather see him as Kano.
I mean, I think that while he would be an amazing Kano, we have an amazing Kano as it is.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And that would be totally unfair to get rid of him, in my opinion. He was arguably the best character in the movie, aside from, Sub-Zero and Scorpion to an extent as well, considering how little screen time he got. But Kano was amazing. Kano was, not even arguably, Kano was talked about the most out of all the characters, I feel, in every single review I'd seen.
And well, something that Mr. Midnight Owl had said previously on one of the Realmcast episodes was that if they can't have funny, cheesy Kano and funny, cheesy Johnny Cage in the same movie, because they're going to be competing with each other. So I'm kind of curious, if we do get Kano back and the same actor, if we're going to get that same version of Kano, or maybe they're going to give him an opportunity to do something very different in his own. So kind of getting away from typecasting him, which would be very cool to see.
See, I disagreed with that when he said it, and I still disagree with it now. I said that I don't feel like you need to only have one character fulfilling that sort of role in a movie. It feels like you're just checking boxes with that sort of requirement in mind. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, we have one funny character, that's it, that's done. Whereas you could have more than one funny character. You've got more than one serious character most of the time in most of these movies. You know what I mean? I get the point he's making for sure, but I totally feel like they would fit. And if anything, they would be able to play off of each other. It would be a perfect sort of rapport they could have with one another, even if they're on opposing sides.
History, you got any other thoughts on this before I move us on to closer to Mortal Kombat 12?
No, I think I'm all good for that. In like the instance of the movie, I'm just excited to see it come to fruition. I know they're in the process of actually getting things going, and like you said regarding the scripts itself, if any of that bleeds over to the actual contents of the film, then I'm really looking forward to it. Because one of my biggest gripes with the last movie was the lack of world building that was associated with most of it, because they kind of threw you in the deep end, didn't tell you anything, and they were like, we want to introduce a whole new fan base to this. We're gonna not say anything at all. Here's an OC we effectively made. We hope you like him. So, you know, I hope they learn from this, and, you know, it's more positive going forward, because the truth is, I know people don't like the 2021 movie, and, you know, you're 100% you're allowed to have that opinion, but I'm in that boat and camp of, I think it's all right. I wouldn't watch it again. What I want people to do is to learn from it and then give us another movie, because I don't want to have to wait like 20 plus years again to get another Mortal Kombat movie. I don't think I have that much life left in me for another one for that long. Like, let's learn, get to the next one. If it's ass, then it's ass, and then I can move on with my day.
Oh, you know,
wise words from history. If it's ass, then it's ass.
Speaking of Mortal Kombat movie news, I didn't have this on my show notes for today, but Jeremy Adams, who wrote Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, Snowblind, the other one, Defenders of the Realm, he actually just released his first, he's writing now for the Green Lantern comics for DC Comics, and that first issue just actually came out yesterday. So if anybody is a big fan of what he's been doing with Mortal Kombat Legends, check it out, pick it up. I got it, I haven't read it yet, so yeah, there's that. But moving on,
didn't he also just finish his Flash run as well?
Yes, he did. He was doing a whole, he's been on Flash for quite a while, and they moved him over to Green Lantern, which is the first time Green Lantern's had a comic in 2 years, I think. So it's pretty exciting to see that, you know, Mortal Kombat and Green Lantern come together, because I'm a big Green Lantern fan, so awesome. So let's see, one more bit of news before I jump into Mortal Kombat 12 stuff. There is Mortal Kombat 11 news.
No.
Yeah. Do you guys remember that game?
When did that one come out again?
Try not to. So Mortal Kombat 11, they updated their ads recently, and Boing Boing made a post about it on boingboing.net. Mortal Kombat 11, which cost $50, now has in-game advertisements and is for Hogwarts Legacy. So some fans were pretty upset about this. I've heard that they rolled it back to Mortal Kombat 11 ads in Mortal Kombat 11. I don't know what's going on here, but
yeah, that's not a good look. It's really not. Sorry, but yeah, I know it's in, you know, same company and everything, but either stick to just Injustice or things that, you know, properly relate.
Yeah. I'm curious, for those of us watching in our chat, how much did you pay for all your versions of Mortal Kombat? Because I know there's a lot of us out there that have like collector's edition, ultimate edition, aftermath add-on. Like, how much total did you pay for Mortal Kombat 11? And now, how do you feel about seeing ads on it? How about you guys?
It is a concerning sort of progression of the state of games when you're going to pay full price for certain games and then see ads for other games within those games. Especially when, I don't know, I quite like the menu screen for Mortal Kombat 11. It was minimal, but like beautiful in a way. And this is just an eyesore for me on top. 60 euros. Pretty sure on release it was at least that by 1.5. You know what I mean? Like that, it was at least 100 euros on release, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Just for the standard edition or premium edition? Deluxe edition or whatever it was. I can't remember at this point in time.
Maybe one of the deluxe editions.
I do remember us having a very long discussion about the fact that upgrading from standard MK to the deluxe edition cost more than buying the entire pack. And that was really not cool, I felt. The people who'd supported the game from the start. You know, I love Mortal Kombat, I love NRS, but I will call these things out. It didn't feel right to do the fans dirty like that when they've supported the game from the get-go. If you're going to be giving new people, newcomers to the game a good deal, great, but also make sure you're not messing over the fans at the same time.
I'm watching History's face as he's reading the chat on
I'm
everybody.
just like, that's so much money.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
It really is. I try to buy like the collector's edition, or I basically want an edition that has something with it when I buy it. But I play on PC mostly, and so I always get a PC version, and then I try to get a version that has something with it, and then here comes add-ons later, and it's just it's way too much money, especially for an ad to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk Mortal Kombat 12. I know we got a lot of people who are dying to talk with us about it. Yanni, do you want to kick us off on this?
Sure. All right, so Mortal Kombat 12. What we were all here for. Should we take a break here, guys?
Wait, so is it officially tinfoil hat time?
It is getting there. We are... Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, it's tinfoil hat time. Let's do this. So let's start off with Ed Boon's Spaces.
Oh my god, yes.
Since we were talking about collector's editions, I was like, here's something I made earlier.
I'd buy that for 250 euros.
Solid shapers.
That is amazing. You have to keep that on from now on. Like that's just how your model looks from this point.
Let me face it, angle. There we go. I've been waiting on this for like 2 hours, so I was kind of like, when we get to 12.
I admire the prep you put into this episode. I really do. We have to bring him on again soon just to see what he does next, right, Phantom?
How do I one up this?
You said 2 hours, but the last time you were on here was 2 years. Have you been waiting 2 years to show us this?
We don't bring that up.
So let's get into Ed Boon's tweets and Mortal Kombat 12. First, I think on the 29th of April, if I'm correct, Ed Boon posted a Twitter space, which everybody started getting really into. Now, History, you're going to have to read this one for us.
Zip Plintflow? Zip Plintflow. Unless it's one of those weird ones where it's like the Z signs, it's like Plintflow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing.
So everybody was trying to figure out what this was because it was also accompanied by audio, is the best way to put it. Phantom, are you going to play that for us or no?
Do I have the audio on that?
I don't think you do.
No,
but
we got.
I think you've got an image. Here we go. A tweet by Kevin McCollum, which summarizes the playlist of songs, specifically songs that were on this Twitter space, because it was not just songs. There were also other audio samples. Yes.
Did you listen to this when it
Yes.
was? Okay, so I mean, it was weird because he it sounded like he's dialing in with a radio, and then there's like random Mortal Kombat sounds, and then these songs would come on. History, how about you? Were you listening to this at all?
I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to tune it to live or listen to it at all because it was at demon hours for me, and I'm quite sure I was out of it. When I woke up to it, I was like, I'm going back asleep. It's happening.
So I missed the live version as well. I had to find it on YouTube later. Somebody recorded it. But as Phantom said, it did sound a bit weird. There was like radio tuning in noises. Was there a dial-up connection as well, or am I misremembering that, Phantom?
I don't think so, but it was just like weird sounds with it.
But but then also round 1, fight, etc., etc. Round 2, fight. There were some interesting samples there from Mortal Kombat games. But then also, as we have here on the screen, a playlist, including, just, I guess, for the listeners who aren't watching, Purple Rain by Prince, Mother by Pink Floyd, Let It Be by the Beatles, Boogie Fever, the Silvers, Every Breath You Take, The Police, Gin and Juice, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Another Brick in the Wall, Pink Floyd again, and The End, The Beatles again. So quite an interesting list, which everybody got cracking on immediately, trying to figure out, what is Ed trying to tell us?
What is he trying to tell us? Well, nobody still knows.
Well, I'm gonna kick us off with the first one because I'm sorry.
Oh, that's easy.
Rain, like, don't do me like that again, Ed. Do not tease Rain and then not put him in.
Oh,
Let the guy have a starting roster spot for once in his life. You know,
Rain.
Trilogy doesn't
No,
even
Rain.
count. Armageddon does not count.
I just wanted to remind you that he likes Prince. That's all. Sorry, yeah.
So,
yeah, that's easy.
yeah, Purple Rain,
I mean,
Prince.
yeah, but that doesn't mean we're gonna get Rain. It just means that he loves Rain. So
Could just be appearing.
yeah,
My homie
exactly.
Rain love. Yes, there are.
Next one was Mother by Pink Floyd. History. You got a tinfoil hat theory on this one?
There to strictly upset the OG Sindel fans. 100%.
That's what I was thinking too. I think we're
Mother.
getting Twindell.
You're alive.
Next up is Let It Be.
No. Let's not skip
Wait,
ahead
you
yet.
got-
I'm
you got more?
sticking on Mother for a second.
Okay,
What
what
if
else?
instead of upsetting the OG Sindel fans, he's upsetting all Mortal Kombat fans, and he's considering Devora a mother of the Chitin?
Oh.
I mean, as long as that doesn't bring in more of them, because they're just going to kill off all our favorite characters at that rate. Let's not paint that pool. We've already seen that in like every Devora ending, and I'm like, I ain't ready. I hate bugs. Every way.
Firstly, Edo Nature, you're all sleeping on smoke. Oh, we are not. He's one of my favorite characters. Don't worry about that. Goldie Milrose, hi, nice to see you again. And I am loving everybody saying Rain is a fan favorite. Rain deserves a huge role. He has so much potential. Boom. All right, let's continue.
You just wanted that reaffirmation that
Yes.
Rain should be around.
I will always call out in a good way the Rain love.
Anyways, Rain is Rain. Let's keep going.
Oh, Chronica, the mother of Shinnok. Goldie Milrose with a possible theory there.
That is a
Mm-hmm.
horrible theory,
Or-
Goldie. Why would you do that?
Or piggybacking on her theory, Cetrion, mother of nature.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I'd rather see
Right.
Cetrion than Chronica come back. Honestly.
I mean,
I'd rather
I don't
not
want to have
see
to
either.
deal with Flawless Block Boulder and MK.
Oh,
Cole,
yeah.
you know,
And the tendrils. Here we see
all
two
right.
artists come together. Hi, Goldie.
Do you know?
Okay.
I would love to see Chameleon come in as a mother of like
The
like kind of like-
Saurians.
yeah,
Mm.
like we talked about in our dream roster soul stream, making her team up with Reptile in some way, and I don't know, that'd be cool.
No, that'd be cool. Or Sonia, mother of Cassie, as well. By the way, that's a fair point too. We totally forgot that one.
Jeez, I feel like an idiot. You guys are on it today.
We need our own tinfoil hats. We're
Yeah.
In my defense, I'm not wearing a hat, but Phantom has no excuse, guys. Sorry.
It's not tinfoil. All right. So, any other mother theories? I mean, there's a lot of more mothers in Mortal Kombat.
I'm just waiting for somebody else to come up with something.
I should have pulled up that Mother's Day tweet that Mortal Kombat makes every year, just so we could have dove into that.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, Delara's drawing me a tinfoil hat. Let's do this.
All right. So let's go on. Let It Be by the Beatles. I don't know what Let It Be could be, but when I hear Beatles, I think bugs. So my thought was we possibly could be getting Devora.
Sorry, before we get into that, I have to comment on Jesse Brightside's. Kitana is suddenly pregnant. So, I didn't think we'd have to get into this today, but you see, when a mother loves a father very much,
Yeah, you can't. Kicked off.
Okay, no, I'm just being really stupid right now. But you know what? It could be Kitana, for all we know. I mean, Hourglass the rest of the world time with Fire God Liu Kang. He's looking kind of hot and I'd say spicy, but I guess electrifying works better here at this point in time. You never know.
My man shredded like a sirloin steak, so I don't blame him.
I regret my statement. No, Jesse, don't take it back.
All right. So, any other ideas on the Beatles? Let it be.
Let it be. Anything history?
No, that's both like super cryptic. It's again, it can go to like a bug theme, or maybe this might just be like them maybe leaning into the idea of like time travel and it's like, this is how it is, we aren't going back, we're letting it be. This is the status quo going forward.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right.
I'm trying to think. Like, I know that we had obvious theories when we spoke very briefly on this, Phantom, and now I'm completely forgetting them.
Honestly, I didn't dive into this little hint at all because listening to it was so mind frying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so random that I was like, like auditorially, I did not want to hear it anymore, and so I kind of like tuned it on for a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'll wait and see what everybody else figures out. So.
Oh, well, I'm going to stick with Devora on this one. I think Beatles, that's the only one that really clicks to me at this point in time without going deep into the lyrics.
Yeah. Okay, next up was Boogie Fever by the Silvers.
Boogie Fever. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that somebody thought Smoke for this one.
Disco Fever, maybe? Like, kind of, yeah, maybe. Boogie Fever, my thought is Liu Kang's Friendship Disco Dance.
The Silvers, right? The Silvers. Silver, Smoke.
Yeah.
Liu Kang's Friendship Disco Dance. Yeah, I could see that one too. That one actually makes a lot of sense.
Friendship.
That too, as well, yeah. Maybe it's not Raiden. Maybe we're getting Kid Thunder.
Oh my gosh. I would be so happy, honestly.
See, I would have gone with the next one being Smoke, Every Breath You Take. But then again, Cabal works for that one too. And it works because it's also the police.
I was also thinking Fujin.
Yeah, definitely. You just reminded me of my fingers breaking trying to play Fujin in MK11 now.
Or it could be Striker.
Where he just shoots you every time you take a breath?
It's the police.
Maybe they're having Robocop come back.
Oh, what did you say? History? Robocop?
Maybe they're looking to curse people with bringing back Robocop again. You never know. I think I just hurt like so many people in here by suggesting that.
I don't know. Silver Smoke works for me for Boogie Fever, but then we've got Raiden, we've got Liu Kang as well. Every Breath You Take, we've got Fujin, we've got Cabal, we've got Smoke, we've got, who am I missing? Striker. Yep. I really hope it's not him, but hey,
everybody in the chat's saying Striker.
Yeah, so but I mean, we're just focusing on the police rather than Every Breath You Take, right? But it does fit. I don't think we're getting Chrome. I'm pretty sure Ed has confirmed we will never get Chrome.
That's not in the equation.
Just such a shame. It really is.
Oh, Viv Grimholt says the Silvers for the Cyborgs.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Boogie Fever, all different colors.
What we got next?
We've got Gin and Juice
by Snoop Dogg.
All right, Joe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean,
that's it.
That one fits quite well, but I'm just trying to think in terms of, characters other than Boraicho who might fit with this.
Okay.
Any well-known? Oh, yeah. Haven't seen anyone do this.
Do you want to read this?
Tag EB. Okay, deep tinfoil hat moment. I haven't seen anyone do this. First letters in each song, bottom to top. Tag EB. Ed Boon ? LMP. Late May PlayStation. I know Probnata, but just saw it. You know what? even if it makes 0 sense, I respect the tinfoil hat that you've got on, because you have totally just destroyed us.
I'm upset that we don't actually have tinfoil hats for this episode. I mean, we got to the main
me too. History's the only one.
Gotta commit. It's...
See, Snoop. This is what I was thinking. Snoop means smoke, right? Like.
Oh yeah.
It's like that old artwork of smoking kills, and then the guy saying, "Pff," and then he takes a drag, and then just smoke comes out the ground and uppercuts him.
All right, next
All right, Joe, Snoop Dogg. Okay, another brick in the wall. I'm going Tremor here.
I was gonna say Tremor as well.
I hope so. Like, Tremor needs so much more love. I was so excited when he came out for X. Like, that'd be awesome.
Such a cool character.
Yeah, he really is.
Okay, you guys continue with Tremor for a second, but I have a crazy tinfoil hat theory coming in a second. But yeah, Tremor, agreed. I would love to see him. I think that he really deserves a lot more time on the roster at this point. He is such a cool character. I mained him for quite a while in MKX, actually. He was just so good. Or Garrus. Could be, but I would say he's more Sandy than Ricky. That works. But yeah, you never know. Okay, here's my tinfoil hat. I can't wait anymore. I'm sorry. It's too late. Another brick in the wall. Pink Floyd. Ed has always said if he does another ninja, they'll be pink. He'd love to do a pink ninja. We've already gotten the orange ninja with Takeda, technically. Pink makes sense here. And then another brick in the wall. Another ninja in the roster. I did warn you it's tinfoil hat, but...
I mean, the series kind of needs a new ninja, because we haven't had a new ninja, really, since Tremor or Scarlet, and they kind of already existed in their own separate entities, so I think we'll...
I'd argue Takeda, potentially.
Yeah, no, you
if anything, he's the most ninja out of them all, if you think about it, other than Smoke.
Yeah. No, he is. In saying that, they don't seem to like the character, so I guess we're gonna see him.
I will never understand how we got Jackie and not Takeda for an MK11. I will never understand that.
All right, so
topic makes me sad.
Here's a fun thing that I hasn't been said in the public that I do know of. I do know that Takeda was considered for 11's roster, and it was one of the many characters that was on the cutting room floor. I know there was a few. I know there was someone in the studio pushing really, really hard for Havoc, but never quite managed to get enough. The studio's like behind it because it's always a team effort. But yeah, they were like, we could shove him off for a little bit, and I know it's actually made a lot of people go, we would have liked him back. But considering his gameplay from X to 11, I'm okay with biting that bullet and saying, I don't think he would have worked.
I'm just curious now that you've mentioned that. Did they ever mention Serena? Because I have heard that Serena has been cut from almost every single roster before the game's gone live now for the past how many games?
So the two characters that I hear quite a bit that a lot of people say were on the cutting room floor, but I haven't heard anything about them, has been Serena and it has been Tanya.
Okay,
it's
that's
been those
such a shame.
I've heard so much about, but I'm like, from what I've ever heard about it, they were never at one point like kind of considered for it.
Okay, all right, interesting.
Back on the topic of a possible pink ninja, Ali says the same, or sorry, Ali says the same thing that I was thinking. No, wait, not that one. There's
not that one. I saw you bring up another one. Wasn't that Edo? Edo Naito RR?
Let me see if I can find it. But basically, as far as it's Jesse Brightsides. There already is a pink ninja, and I'm probably gonna get yelled at for this because it's magenta. But Melina, she is pink. Like, that's our pink ninja, right?
Sure, but with that logic in mind, I feel like you could argue that, hey, Kitana shouldn't exist because Sub-Zero is there. They're both blue.
Oh, so you think we're gonna pink male ninja?
Yeah.
Oh, possibly. That'd be interesting. Maybe.
But there's another comment you should bring up. Where was it? Firstly, Edo's comment about Ed.
Oh, yeah.
You see that one?
Is it this one?
Yes, this one. I remember this.
Go
Ed
ahead.
did say very likely for Tremor being in the next game, so that one kind of fits quite well. I think that's a very good point. And then there's another one by Pumpkin, which is Chameleon is a rainbow ninja.
Oh yeah,
And that's
yeah.
also a very good point, because if you think about Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd's album, that is a prism, right? The rainbow.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think these songs are chosen specifically for a reason. It might not even be character related. Like the
Maybe
last
not,
song,
but it could be multiple meanings.
the last song on the playlist is "The End" by the Beatles. So that, like, maybe this, yeah, like maybe there are multiple meanings, or maybe the end could be kind of hinting at what happens with the next little reveal that we got. So
What about Blaze? He was considered the end, Armageddon.
oh, that would be interesting to do. I
That
don't
would
think
be
we're...
very interesting, but it's one of those weird things, right? If we're going like full reset, and they've kind of changed how things are going, and they're rewriting time and stuff. Would Blaze be pivotal or important again in that instance if the Pyramid of Armageddon doesn't exist?
Right.
Potentially, but what if we are? Because right now, this is one thing we haven't actually talked about yet. We don't know what's happening with Mortal Kombat 12 right now, but everything is pointing towards a complete reboot, right? But what if we're not just going right back to the OG tournament, or what if we are and then we're getting something else? What if it's something completely different? And for all we know, Blaze pops up. Maybe it is Armageddon this time, except we've skipped everything else. We're at Armageddon from an earlier point, and we're moving past Armageddon from the get-go to say, hey, there are no more reboots after this. Because if we're honest here, they have rebooted too many times, and it looks like they're rebooting again. So
I have a sneaking suspicion of what they're kind of going for, to be fair.
Yeah, same.
All
I
right.
have some ideas, but maybe our ideas conflict with each other, and that'll be interesting.
Should we talk about it now, or should we save it when we get to it? That's the real question.
I think we can, this next little tidbit, I mean, we can kind of talk about this, and I think that'll kind of lead into some of these ideas. So NRS released, or NRS Warner Brothers released their gratitude video, and this is kind of what kicked everything off here. And I'm just going to fast forward it a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I'll fast forward it right here to Ed's, and I apologize to everybody at NRS who I just skipped over.
Well, thank you all as well for the record.
But here it is, the actual
It's Tremor.
little moment. No, don't do that. You're gonna confuse everybody. So we see the inside of the hourglass and the very last grain of sand, which this is some great imagery that they got going on. It explodes into what looks like a galaxy of. It explodes into Ed Boon. And then the toasty sound cues right here. Toasty! And then we got a galaxy. So, yeah, I mean, that is kind of where we're at. And let's talk now. I think now's a good time to talk about.
I think now's a great time to show off all the amazing memes that I put literally 10 seconds into for each.
Did you send them to me?
I just opened up the Instagram. They were so stupid, but people seem to appreciate them, so I'll take that. I've been so happy with all the MK12 news because it's revitalized my meme machine. You know.
I mean,
if you're not following, I don't blame you, but you totally should because I make some really stupid jokes.
I haven't signed in to see it all.
Ah, that's lame.
So yeah, here's Mortal Kombat meme realm for everybody who is interested in Mortal Kombat memes 24/7.
Keep this up for the next clip then. Let's move forward. So that grain of sand. I mean, I think we're all on the same page here. Thank you, Delara. Nice stupid jokes. So we're all on the same page here in the sense that this is clearly telling us that the universe is sort of being reborn. Everything is being rebooted again, correct?
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, you're both wrong. It's Tremor. Okay, no. So
It's Garrus. Garrus is finally getting his revenge.
he just came back from that one grain of
Yeah.
sand.
He's
You know,
like
you could
Cell.
actually argue that he could, because you know he manipulates sands of time. He was helping Kronika, who had the hourglass. Technically, he could have been made from the hourglass, or
Right.
the sand within the hourglass.
He's like Future Cell from Dragon Ball. He just keeps coming back.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, what are your ideas? Let's hear them, guys.
Well, I personally think that if we're going off the grain of sand, I think that it's supposed to be kind of symbolic of a new universe being born. I think it's the equivalent of like Liu Kang's Big Bang to start off this or kick off this new era. And the thing is, we've always talked about the hourglass, but we haven't really talked about what each grain represents. Does it represent a universe itself, or is it the binds of time or the limitations of it? Because, you know, we've only ever seen it be rewoven when Kronika kind of dials things back, but we don't know, like, the full capacity of, you know, what can be done with it.
Yeah, I see what you mean there. I've not actually stopped to talk about whether or not each grain of sand is, you know, a unit of time, or if it's a universe or anything like that. That is a very good point. I was thinking more along the lines of what happens if the hourglass explodes, because we know that the crown was made by Shang Tsung, or at least with Shang Tsung. But we don't know about the hourglass, do we? Because
No.
as far as we can tell, Kronika is this Titan, which I really, really hope is forgotten and decanonized. I'm sorry, but Titans have no place, in my opinion, compared to the Elder Gods. But Kronika herself is a Titan, but she needs the hourglass and she needs the crown, but Shang Tsung hasn't always existed. So it's sort of this weird paradox where I don't understand where Kronika's power comes from and how long it's existed if Shang Tsung is, you know, as old as he is. So is the hourglass exploding a sign of, you know, as you said, the Big Bang? Or is it saying, hey, this is the last time that time is able to be rebooted at this point. Now, this is the final go. Whatever happens, happens, and we're going to stick with it.
Yeah, no, I definitely see it as that. Though that possibility is on the table, as there's lots of things which it could symbolically mean. I've even, again, going off this thing right next to me. If we really
looks like an hourglass, like half of it.
Yeah. If we want to see like how far we can kind of stretch and go with that idea, there's always the possibility if you want to take it in a darker direction and not follow through with the Kung Lao ending. Maybe Shang Tsung's, you know, after gaining the hourglass of time, has gained cosmic awareness and omnipotency of like the existence of the multiverse, what exists beyond just his timeline. Because, you know, that idea was kind of implemented in Raiden's chapter where, you know, he had the flashbacks of Liu Kang and saw every other alternate reality like being put together. You know, what's to say that Shang doesn't get the same thing upon becoming the keeper of the new hourglass, and he's like, oh, well, there's all these other versions that I haven't conquered. What's to say that those Liu Kangs can't see what I see? Let me go and kill each and every other universe. Because here's the thing, right? That hourglass, unbelievably powerful. And in my opinion, it needs to go, because you can't have something like that powerful exist for that long, because it's a reset button every single time. It's guaranteed. It's like, okay, let's stack up Kung Lao against Onaga. Oh, Kung Lao didn't win. Let me dial things back. And then he can just keep doing it until he wins again. Because at some point, that thing has to go. So there's always that idea and concept, but that is like egregiously out there.
My idea on it, you know, it's very clear. Like the things that are very clear about it is that grain of sand explodes and it seems like a new world. So I don't think it exploding is a good thing, and I kind of feel like like what we've gotten with our second hint is that Mortal Kombat 11, like they said before, that's the end of the story, and whatever's coming next is a brand new story. You know, I think it's probably going to pick up where 11 ended, but like kind of how Armageddon did with, or Mortal Kombat 9 did with Armageddon. But I think this is not the Mortal Kombat that we know anymore. I think this is going to be something completely new, a brand new universe. And you know, the thought, like, I like that idea that History just said. Shang Tsung controlling the timeline could have resulted in this explosion. Liu Kang controlling the timeline could have resulted in this explosion. Either way, that story's finished. This is something completely different we have coming out, and I think that kind of goes to show with the second teaser trailer that we got. Should I pull that up?
Yeah, let's do it. That's perfect time to move into it, actually.
All right. So, let me turn this on. All right, so the second trailer, which just dropped, was it yesterday?
Yeah,
Yes.
yesterday. You want some sound on there?
I don't want to because we've had issues before with
Okay, gotcha.
turning sound on stuff. But yeah, so it is just the clock trailer, which Yanni has plenty of memes for, and
There was so much potential there, okay? So this was accompanied by Ed's tweet saying, what time is it? I think it was.
is that what Ed said? I know
think
Mortal
so.
Kombat had some of the specifics to say about it. Let me pull up their tweets real quick.
I think Mortal Kombat's was it's almost time.
Yeah.
And Ed's was what time is it? Yeah. So for me, there's an obvious answer there. I'm sorry, but if you go back to the video, Phantom, back to the beginning, please.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back, yeah, see there. So the minute hand is just before 9, and then the hour hand is on, or really just about to hit if you think about it, 12. So it's obviously 11:45.
So Mortal Kombat 11:45 confirmed. Now
History's just like.
yeah.
You did this. Cheers.
So now you understand my life right now.
I know why you didn't bring me back for so long. Don't worry about it.
Yanni's been off the rails since he left.
The best part is I take this so seriously because I see people commenting like, the hour hand is on 1 now, and then somebody's like, that's not the hour hand, that's the minute hand, and I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? It's the second. So, what do we all think this is? Is it 11:45 in the world at this point in time, or what's going on?
I'm not ready to commit to this bit because I'm already feeling like my brain regressing.
Thank you.
With each second, a sip of this goes lower and lower. And lower.
With each second, or with each skipped second? How does that work exactly?
Oh no, let's find out.
Press play.
You know, the amount of theories that have come out of this clock make my brain hurt. Like, we
The
have
spaceship
people...
one's definitely up there for me.
Oh, where is Spaceship Guy? Let me pull up his...
You got a name, man. You've got a name now.
Trademark, change the Twitter handle. Spaceship Guy, MK12.
I don't know if I can find it still. I don't know if I still have access to it on my chat. No, I can't
It
find
obviously means that we'll get an MK9 remaster along with MK12. They can even add Kratos to the PC version now. Well, we've got the assets, don't we? From technically from God of War.
I would love that if they did like kind of like a remaster, but we played with some of the old assets that they had and brought back some of these things like God of War, Freddy Krueger in a remastered version of a new video game. I mean, they kind of already do that with with 11. Like, you know, you had Terminator who's using Predator's stuff. So why not give us what we want?
It'd be nice, but I'm pretty sure the unfortunate nature of regarding like an MK9 remaster is just that Freddy Krueger inclusion.
I know.
It's not happening.
It burned them so bad. It really did. So for those who don't know, they ended up having
It's
this
just
whole...
me, Mark, is spaceship guy, everybody.
Oh, they find him?
Yep, he's back.
Yes. So
the hero himself.
It's just me, Mark. Send us a screenshot of this. And I don't know if I can find the exact timestamp on here when it happens, but he noticed a little tiny... I mean, there's so many things floating across the screen, but he noticed what he believes to be a spaceship. So are we getting... there's actually a lot of theories about Mortal Kombat in space, and a lot of people talking about that. I will be as shocked as I was with Rambo if that's what we get.
You still owe him an apology for that, by the way.
Yeah, I'll call up Stallone when I get off here and be like, you know, I doubted it.
So
yeah,
everybody is talking about what does this mean? You know, like in all seriousness, I'm going to say with quotation marks because I'm 100% going to make a joke at some point very soon. But we start off here. Time is obviously ticking. It's, as I've said, 11:45. This has a point. I promise you. It's obvious that time is supposed to be ticking towards 12, right? We're all expecting it. This trilogy, if you go back to the beginning again, Phantom, are you able to loop it? So it's obvious that we're sort of talking about this, I say trilogy, really, because we've just finished 11. We've had 9, 10, 11. It starts off from the 9. We've gone through 10, X. We've gone through 11. And we're all expecting 12. And then NRS like to screw with our minds and say, hey, no, there's no 12 here. We're going straight to 1. So everybody's been talking about Mortal Kombat 12. Mortal Kombat 12. Mortal Kombat 12. And then NRS are also saying, but what do you mean 12? There is no 12. We're skipping 12.
Yeah, there's been a lot of tweets like that.
Yeah. And now, all over Twitter, and really, well, everywhere, everybody's saying Mortal Kombat 1. Phantom, you're going to need to pull up the latest picture I sent you. This is my theory. And as much as it's a joke, I'm actually serious.
Oh, so we really committing to this bit?
Well, I'm committing. I'm going all in. So everybody remembers Mortal Kombat 1. Well, how about Mortal Kombat 1, 2? So, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise you. Mortal Kombat 1, 2. Does that look like 1, or does that look like 2, or does that look like 12? Why not both? Right now, we're rebooting the entire series. We're going right back to the beginning. It's the 12th entry, technically. It's Mortal Kombat 12. But it's also Mortal Kombat 1 again. Mortal Kombat 1, 2.
History just keeps taking shots.
I've got a bottle behind me. I'm ready. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I think it'd be very interesting in some instances, but I've also come under the form of trilogy fatigue because we keep seeming to want to stay between Mortal Kombat 1 to 3 when it comes to it. Because we've seen Mortal Kombat 1 to 3 rebooted in MK9. Kind of a very loose adaptation for the 1995 movie, of course. Annihilation doesn't exist. We've seen it in other forms of games, media, and the comics. It's why, like, with a reboot in place, and if you specifically think about it, how many more times can we empathize and feel sorry for Hanzo's family dying? I'm like, oh no, they're dead. But
this is a perfect time.
This time.
This is a perfect time for me to just quickly interrupt you, Phantom. Please pull up the previous image I sent you. This fits perfectly with what history is saying. Continue, please, history.
Oh yeah, here's the really funny thing as well. Regarding, Scorpion's family dying, that actually ties into his MK11 arcade ladder ending, where his family dies in every possible timeline. So it's like a fixed point that he can't change. But so I'm kind of hoping that jumping into the next game, we get like an ancestral line or just something different. Oh dear, cries and Shirarayu.
I'm sorry.
Young is so distracted.
No, but to be fair, like this is actually why I sort of made this, because it's like, oh my god, we're doing this again. It's exactly what you're saying, History. How many times can we do the same dance, right? And poor Raiden, at this point, maybe it's Liu Kang for all we know. How many times are we going to reboot the series? How many times can we have the exact same things happen? And that's why I feel like, see, Dilara appreciates it. So that's why I feel like, as Synclone just said, Onaga is going to be integral in some potential way, because we've done MK1, we've done MK2, we've done MK3, we've actually done MK4 technically in MKX as well. So why are we thinking, oh, it's going actually only going to be Mortal Kombat 1, when obviously this is a complete reboot? What if MK1 this time is going to have some take on the 3D era? Could be Onaga, could be the Deadly Alliance, you know?
Well, I have something to say about that. I think they're going to requel it. So, NRS typically have a really, really big record of wanting to follow trends and fads that are quite synonymous with like media, that excluding not just games but also movies. MK9 kind of came out during the late 2000s boom of like horror movies or movies being made post-millennium to a new audience, a new generation. MK11, that game was kind of made in a lot of different ways and layers, but I think they predominantly wanted to kind of capture that Avengers moment of people coming through the portals who they haven't seen in a very long time, with the time shift and merge that we got from Chronica. So I'm just kind of like, what's the big fad in Hollywood right now with, you know, movies and stuff and passing down legacies? It's not just remakes in terms of video games like Resident Evil or other things. It's kind of requeling, taking the original framework, modernizing it, and adapting it to a newer audience while still simultaneously keeping it in its roots. So I think with everything said and kind of done, we're already familiar with the framework of Mortal Kombat. And they're probably like, oh, you want the same, but we're going to do it slightly different this time. We're going to put our own spin on it while still keeping things relatively the same. Like, capture the essence that you really liked in like Mortal Kombat 9, but put that twist on it that you guys kind of liked or enjoyed.
I see what you're saying. That's kind of like they did with the Scream trilogy, and like you're saying, a lot of Hollywood is doing that lately. I feel like they've kind of already been trying that with the last couple of games, and my idea from these hints so far is that, you know, okay, we had Chronica previously. Chronica has reset the timeline like an endless amount of times. Now we're seeing the last grain of sand. So perhaps Liu Kang kind of realized the only way to make this work is to not play at all and just destroys everything. So it's not that we're getting a new timeline, we're getting Infinite Earth style of story. Like, you know, there's anything can happen now. It's not just kind of putting people in different places and messing with time. It's alternate realities. It's something bigger and more grandiose than anything we've seen so far.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that because, as I said earlier, man, that hourglass, it has to go at some point. You can't keep having that around. It's too powerful.
Right.
Yeah. See, I had that exact thought. We brought on Jeremy Adams, as we've mentioned already, writer for Mortal Kombat Legends, and we were talking about the latest Legends movie, Snowblind, and he said how with the hourglass there are infinite possibilities of potential multiverses in Mortal Kombat. And on one hand, he's completely right, and I love that he used it so creatively. I think that it was a genius way of using it for Snowblind. I love Snowblind. It was a lot of fun. But on the other hand, my concern, and I think you definitely echo this sentiment considering your last comments on our previous episode with Fourth History, it completely messes up the canon. You don't know where to go with this. You don't know, is what we think about this character canon anymore, or does that not exist? What if this person is completely different in this universe? And on one hand, while that is exciting, it also means that you never know what to expect, which is kind of a shame for Mortal Kombat fans, because that's what we do, you know? Firstly, we have a canon that we love and we learn so that we can discuss. But two, we're able to theorize on what's happening in future installments or what's going to happen to specific characters, etc. So if you look at Mortal Kombat X going into 11, we all thought Dark Raiden and then Liu Kang and Kitana being rulers of the Netherrealm was going to play a much heavier role than what they actually did in 11. And really, seeing Dark Raiden disappear literally within 10 seconds of his first appearance, I think, in the actual story mode, was actually such a shame. It felt like a kick in the teeth. It was like, okay, we've been theorizing this whole time, and now you're going to sit and tell me that we could not have guessed it. So what was the point of the last game's ending? It sort of makes, or rather, it sort of mutes the ending of the previous game. So it needs to tie in my opinion, to Mortal Kombat 11's story, which is really, so far, what it seems to be. You know, as Fan Tim has just said, we have Liu Kang breaking the hourglass because it's like, this is the only way to beat Kronika's endless shifting of time. The only way, get rid of the hourglass. And as you said, history, it's too powerful. We already have the Kamidogu. Those things themselves are already too powerful, really, for the realms, the world. But those are already established, and it's okay to have those, and let's just say Shinnok's amulet. But then we start throwing too many items into the mix, and it's like, okay, well, why isn't somebody chasing down this or this or this or this or this, since there's so many options? We need to have a set limit, I feel, on these sorts of things.
The problem is that when it comes to basically they're all MacGuffins, like you either keep them or you have to get rid of them. They have to be destroyed. They have to be annihilated. Because, like, hypothetically, what's stopping someone from getting all of the Kamidogus, melting them down, and making a literal sword out of them that can warp reality? Like, there's nothing there. Like, you kind of, like, there has to be something done with it, because you can't leave, like, your WMDs left in, like, your garden. It's like, oh, okay. I just got 6 nukes there. Don't worry about it.
Shujinko's taking care of it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's a real big pivotal issue, and I hope going forward we kind of stray away from that, because it's just a little bit too problematic. And if we are going into like a full reboot, I'm perfectly fine with taking things back to basics and just having it be a tournament, and then re-establishing and rebuilding from the ground up. Because like I said, with the whole Kung Lao ending, maybe the whole Mortal Kombat 1 thing isn't the fact that it's supposed to be taking place during the events of Mortal Kombat 1. Maybe it's the very first tournament to take place in this timeline, which, you know, hasn't really been established yet, because when Kung Lao's talked to by Liu Kang's like, what tournament? What was he talking about? So, you know, that's how I'm kind of looking at it, but, you know, we will see. We'll see.
Well, that actually ties in perfectly to what we were just saying about, you know, needing to lead on from the previous game. That was one big issue everybody had with 11, not leading on from MKX's ending. So if that is the case with Mortal Kombat 11 leading into 12 or 1 or whatever you want to call it, if it is the first tournament, that's a perfect way, in my opinion, because that firstly tells us, hey, we're going from Liu Kang's ending, the good ending, I suppose, in MK11, into the Great Kung Lao, which everybody really does want to see, you know, into the first tournament. And that actually fits very, very well. And that would be something that I think we've actually already discussed, if not with you specifically, History, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
Here's the crazy thing, right? There's so many legacy characters at this point, and we learned their heritage. Like, so much has been done with the Matoken line, and you learn about the Night Wolf mantle. Hell, the Scorpion name could also end up being a mantle with a different member of the Shiryu. Why not the original Hanzo Hasashi, who got killed off and by a poison tea? We already know there's some form of ancestry with Kenshi and what was it? And Sub-Zero, with their family and their grandfather being a cryomancer as well. The portrait we had in the the cursed that awful stage, Sky Temple back in MKX.
Oh yes.
Like, there's a lot to work with here. It's just like NRS having their thumb on the trigger and choosing not to press it, which I'm hoping isn't the case here.
I don't know. I think that this history thing. Sorry, Phantom. Just quickly, I think this history thing is the perfect way to tie everything together for the games and also for the fans of the game who love the lore. Like, as you just said, these are characters that we've wanted to see for so long. Great Kung Lao, certain characters who may have come up in the past, Jared, for example. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much potential here that we could see. And yeah, okay, that might mean that we're missing out on certain characters from the future. I'm perfectly happy to see SF characters disappear. The Special Forces can just disappear entirely. I don't mind that. But this allows for all the older sorts of characters to really get a time to shine, if this is all the case. Phantom, sorry, I interrupted you.
You know, so there's a lot of comments coming in right now, and I'm kind of watching them, and there's a lot of different things that people are talking about. So Trey, let's see what his name was. Dre the Prophecy states, you know, if they've stated in the past that they're not going to be doing time travel or anything like that anymore, and I think that kind of coincides with what we're saying, is that this isn't necessarily a time travel story. This is a complete Mortal Kombat reboot, and it, like Yanni said, it could be going back to the first tournament. Mortal Kombat, like, the one could signify that there's only one universe now. There's no timelines. There's no hourglass. This is it. Like, this is our Mortal Kombat from here on out. And correct me, guys, if I'm misspeaking for either of you in this idea.
Well, history brought up the idea first, but just that.
Yeah, no, it's on point, because it would make sense. Again, I think we can all agree here. The big problem with Mortal Kombat right now, especially after all the changes and kind of retcons it has, we need to streamline it again. Have it make sense a little bit, so that way people can follow it. Even if it is another reset, it's what I said about going back to it being a recall. It's like, okay, it's a reboot, but it's still a sequel in itself, taking it
as well as a prequel.
Yeah, it takes us back. It combines all aspects of Mortal Kombat's identity, nature, and heritage with its legacy. The only difference is now we get to see it play in real time. Like, I love the idea of maybe getting to watch Shang Tsung before he fell to the hands of Shao Kahn work in real time, and see his actual downfall, and maybe the jealousy he grows towards, like, Kung Lao, who's this up and coming Shaolin monk.
Shaolin monk, yeah.
Yeah, because what was it? Don't forget, in the original concept of Shang Tsung, he was called Shang Lao. Maybe when he fell to the hands of Shao Kahn, he discarded that name out of spite because of Lao itself.
That would be an interesting take, although I think Tobias has specifically said they ended up, splitting the names for those specific characters at that point. But I get where you're going with that, and that's a very interesting idea, because you're right. This could enable us to actually dive so deep into these characters in a completely different way, where we see entirely different facets of who they are because of the time. Like, we've had these characters in the games, but they've all been around a specific period of time. It's always been within that sort of timeline. I say timeline loosely because I mean one specific timeline, or I don't mean one specific timeline, but point being that they're that same sort of age, I suppose. They've been around for as long as they have already, but we're not seeing the actual origins of those characters. And one thing I'm surprised nobody has mentioned yet is, if we are going back to the Great Kung Lao era, could we get the greatest Mortal Kombat character of all time?
Zero.
Now,
hold on though. Okay, if time's this isn't even a new timeline, is my idea. Like, this is a new Mortal Kombat. Like, you can do whatever you want with it. You could have Great Kung Lao, and you could have Kuai Liang and Bihan, and they're all their own characters that don't have the relationships that we knew in the past, because there is no time anymore. There is just Mortal Kombat, and like you could be getting a whole new, entirely new lore with this kind of idea. And just to kind of sprinkle onto this theory and add a little bit more tinfoil hat. Hold on, I got a meme for this. thanks to Tabmock.
Yes. No, we got a better version of this. We actually have a better version of this, which I promised Tabmock I'd post and I never did. Oh man, where is it?
Oh really?
You know the version. I know the version.
Yeah. Actually, I think Ed might have shared it himself.
He did. It's so good.
Oh yeah. I don't have it, but send it to me and I'll share
It's
that
so
one
good.
quick.
But I want to bring this up. What Synklon just said actually just kind of blew my mind. This is something I didn't think about, and I just tested it while you were talking. Bring up Synklon's second last comment. Nope, previous one.
Let me see. That one?
If you count the seconds in that clock teaser, it's exactly 12 seconds.
That's cool.
That is true.
Is that true?
I just tested it now.
That's pretty cool.
The version I have is 16 seconds.
No. That's the video length, but not the ticking.
Oh.
There's exactly 12 ticks.
That's cool.
That is actually a really cool find.
And then the 12th tick ends on 1.
Yep. So I was right. It's Mortal Kombat 1 too. Have you finished your drink history?
You know what? It's never too late to start the
Is this the better version you're talking about? Ed posted
Yes,
it.
that's the one.
But it's actually by somebody else.
It wasn't my video. Not my video, my image. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Hack's in the chat right now too. So
Is it?
I thought so. I thought.
No, sorry. Is Hack the one who did it?
Oh yeah. It's Hack.
Perfect. Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, but to kind of add a little bit more to our tinfoil hats and what we're talking about today, there have been a few reports that have kind of got picked up today, and of all days. So this is on Windows Central. It's by Alexander Cope and contributions from Jez Corden, who does a lot of different publishing for some.
I think you have another tweet to share by him, actually.
Yeah, and I'll pull that up here in a second too. But the rumor is the new game is going to be called Mortal Kombat 1, and it's a reboot with a full reveal and launch date imminent. So,
sorry, Cyberclark's comment.
This one?
But since 4 ticks remain in one place, that leaves 8, meaning we're getting MK versus DC2.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we aren't getting Injustice 3 like we were planned, right? So, you know.
Ed did say today that they never said it was a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah.
You know what? I love when he just does that, because I'm like, you're just straight up lying this time, man.
Actually, they said he said initially it wasn't going to be a Mortal Kombat game, but I think WB changed their mind and told them it is. You're wrong.
You get that Mortal Kombat game done now.
Yeah. So this article, it goes into a couple things. First of all, they say it's a reboot and it's called Mortal Kombat 1. So that kind of adds to that theory of this is a brand new Mortal Kombat game or an origin story, a reboot, prequel, something of the sort.
I'm kind of liking this imagery, by the way, of all of our cameras next to each other and then 12 right next to history. That's great.
It just helps that I have the hat next to me on the screen.
So the article also says that the game will be released, and you know, this is kind of a given in my opinion, but it says it's going to be released on Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Now, all of this right now is rumors. This isn't anything confirmed by any of our sources. Yanni, do you want to give a full disclaimer? This
is just tweets that are getting a lot of activity in the community. Yeah. You've got, I think, Jez's one saying next month, as well as... yeah, this is the one. So Jez Corden is saying it's a reboot. It's called Mortal Kombat 1, which I'm sorry, as much as I like the idea, I've been joking about this. I think that my idea is way better than just calling it Mortal Kombat 1. I'm sorry. But Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, September 2023 launch window. So I've heard. So this September, that is actually not far away at all. That is really, really soon. So if that is the case, woo, I'm happy. Character pass includes Peacemaker and more. I assume that would be more, yes. But Peacemaker's an interesting one because...
Can I tell you the more?
Yeah, sure.
The more is Homelander.
Yeah, exactly. So that is perfect.
According to rumors, just to be clear.
So that's what I was going to say. So one thing I've noticed, and I've mentioned this in the past, is that firstly, we are very fickle as humans, as fans. Yeah. I have noticed in the past, and I've mentioned that prior to Mortal Kombat 11's DLC being announced, everybody was saying they wanted to see Ermac, Rain, Smoke, as well as a few other characters. Okay? At some point, everybody shifted to Shang Tsung, Sindel, Nightwolf, Fujin. Why is that? You know, like everybody, the entire community, all of a sudden, everybody was like, oh man, I really want these characters. And I love all those characters that I just mentioned. I love them all. I prefer the original Sindel, the real Sindel, sorry. But I love all those characters. But I'm sorry, you're not going to get every single person in the community asking for those exact characters at the same time. When I know that everybody's just... bots. Maybe, sure, I just want to go with that.
All Mortal Kombat fans are bots.
We are all bots. We do not exist. This is not actually me. This is a bot. So everybody, like, I'm going to ignore Smoke and Rain because I'm biased with them. I love Ermac, but he's not on the same level for Rain and Smoke for me. But everybody wanted Ermac. Why? He literally appears with an entirely new design in the Crypt mode, right? So everybody, for obvious reasons, wants Ermac. Fair. But then suddenly everybody switches to these four who specifically made it onto the Combat Pass, right? I feel like there's a bit of, what's the word, I guess, leak bias here. So they'll hear about certain characters and it kind of fits with the time. And you see the same thing with the guest characters, which is where I'm going with this. Peacemaker, Homelander. They fit perfectly into this climate right now. Everybody loves the boys. I mean, we've even potentially got Billy Butcher himself playing Johnny Cage. Then everybody really enjoyed Peacemaker as far as I could tell, but that's also a WB property. Obviously, The Boys is not, that's Amazon, but it fits within this climate. This seems very, very likely to me. I don't see this not being the case unless we get another sort of issue, which we seem to have had with, for example, Ash Williams. I swear Ash was going to appear and then something went wrong.
Oh, right? Yeah. It's
like,
confirmed.
Yeah. So unless that happens, I see these two being shoo-ins for guest characters, which already concerns me because I don't like guest characters, but hey, what can I do at this point? But I think you've got another tweet because he mentions here specifically corroborating Bilbil Kun.
This one?
No, this is the same one. Yes. I'll just read the exact same thing out twice. Exclusive upcoming release. This guy is, as far as I'm aware, a retail leaker. Like he'll say the prices and the additions of all games. It's not just Mortal Kombat. So he's got next Mortal Kombat game from NetherRealm Studios. WB Games will be called Mortal Kombat 1. PC, PS5, Xbox Series S, as you just said, basically, Phantom. And if you scroll down a little bit for me, thank you. You got the standard edition prices, as well as a premium price and the collector's edition price, which all seem to be very fitting considering MK11's prices as well. Although, in my opinion, extremely expensive, but fitting.
Well, something interesting too is that there's no collector's edition for any of the platforms except for the PlayStation and Xbox, which is on par with what we've seen in the past. So this could be a lucky guess. It could be an actual leak because it lines up with what we've seen in the past. So again, this is not our information. It's just things that we've picked up from the internet for today's episode. But yeah, I mean, like Yanni said, it seems kind of reasonable in my opinion.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of leaking out there, which seems to fit very well. The guest characters really do fit in my opinion. I enjoyed Peacemaker the show. I thought it was hilarious. I thought John Cena did an amazing job, by the way, as did the rest of the cast. I was cracking up the entire time. And I love The Boys. I really do. Personally, I don't like, guest characters, as I've mentioned already. But if we do get John Cena as Peacemaker, that potentially opens him up for a Striker skin. So that might be pretty interesting.
What I just remembered? Talking about John Cena, we did have a period where I think we talked about this on a previous Soul stream, and you even called John Cena out because he went around and followed every Mortal Kombat account out there.
Yeah, including Mortal Kombat Online.
yeah, MKO, Meme Realm, like everybody. So that could have been around the same time.
Potentially.
The secret that nobody knew they were keeping.
I like the invisibility power by Humbucker for John Cena. You can't see him. Cyberclark, no PC price at all. At this point in time, considering the release states of the Mortal Kombat PC games, I think that's a blessing in disguise, to be honest. I'm sorry.
Another Jedi
so
Survivor situation. Let it cook. Let it cook.
Yeah, let it cook. No, that's a great way of putting it.
Man.
So, I think now is actually a good time to mention again our topic of the day, because we've really already delved into it quite heavily, and that is an MK12 timeline reboot and what this could mean to the overarching narrative of Mortal Kombat. As we have really sort of discussed this already to an extent, but I like it because and I did it on purpose, it ties into our last episode topic with Force Snake, which was the evolution of the Mortal Kombat franchise's different eras and the changes in gameplay and storytelling within them. In this case, we're really just discussing how rebooting would affect the overall narrative. Sorry, apologies for the repeat question, but if this is a new timeline, Raiden will be the most affected character. No powers, no mentor role now. What do you think his role will be? That's a good question.
Do you think we'll get a Raiden?
I would like to skip him. I know that's blasphemy, but I think Fujin deserves some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Kid Thunder.
I love Raiden. I really do. Like, he's the reason I put a straw hat on every single character I make in character customization games. But I would love to see Fujin get a heavier role. But even at this point in time, Liu Kang is most likely going to get a heavier role than Fujin himself.
Hold on. I just had a quick little trivia for history. Do you know where or what is your knowledge of Kid Thunder from Mortal Kombat 2? Like, how did this happen?
I've never dived deep enough into that hole, actually.
We did. On our last Realmcast episode with Carlos Pacina. Because my understanding was, like, growing up, was that somebody's nephew was actually in the studio and they just dressed him up in Raiden gear, threw him out there, and made him Kid Thunder. We got an answer. Yanni, do you remember what Carlos told us?
Go for it. I remember, but this is your topic.
I'm just excited. I love Kid Thunder.
Go for it.
So Kid Thunder, they just took the sprite of Carlos from what he can remember. He doesn't remember anybody actually coming to the studio, but they took his sprite and just like chibi-fied it, like shrunk it down. And so that's the story of Kid Thunder. Everybody,
that's such a simple, like, but I feel like that's like a meme before it became a meme and just
exactly.
So for everybody who is like, if you like stuff like that, check out the latest episode with Carlos. I'm super excited. I'm voting for Kid Thunder for Mortal Kombat 12. So he could be Adult Thunder. Anyways, I'm sorry, I completely derailed us.
All good. Okay, let's get back to the topic then at hand.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned this a few times already, and we've had a lot of reboots. We've had, if we go from the beginning, we've had the OG trilogy, which continued into the 3D era. No reboots at this point in time. But then Armageddon really had nowhere to go considering the ending of Choice. And as a result, we went back to MK9. Throughout that, we get to see Raiden getting flashbacks of that previous timeline the whole way through. And then we end with a completely different ending to Mortal Kombat 3, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
with certain changes having been made the whole way through as well. So, for example, Sub-Zero is now cyberized instead of Smoke, except that doesn't matter because everybody pretty much dies anyway, right? So you have all of this taking place, which is obviously leading into a Revenant storyline with MKX, Shinnok, Quan Chi, who literally appeared in MK9's story mode, as well as Quan Chi being playable. We then have MKX skipping, I think it was 20 years after already being set 2 years after MK9. So 22 years skip, as far as I remember. Is that correct history?
Yeah, it's like 20 or 25. It's around that because we cut to like 20 and then there's like an extra 5 years afterwards and we go to
5 years. Okay, gotcha. So we've already had another play with time, I'd like to call it, yeah? Because we're talking time skips or anything just with time here right now. We've then got MK11 reverting time in a way, in the sense that we have a time quake bringing back characters from a different point in time. So we've now got time going back. We've got time just changing up the entire roster because completely different events happen. We've got a time skip, and then we've got characters being brought back or brought forward rather, from a different point in time. And then we have Aftermath, which has all forms of time play, but the best one to just say time being reverted once again, but in a completely different fashion here, so that it can affect the future in a different way again. So we now have MK12 doing it yet again. And this is where I think that time skip fatigue is coming in, which is why we keep all saying Hourglass needs to go. There's no question about that in this chat at this point. But what I'd like us to sort of focus on really is all of these time skips, or just playing with time in general, and how it's affected the overall story of Mortal Kombat. For example, just one example here being OG trilogy, being Liu Kang was the main protagonist, and then we kind of lost a real protagonist and kind of jumped into Shujinko and Taven, etc. But then with MK9, Liu Kang dying pretty much, we have Cassie Cage, for example. So like that's what I've got on the topic pretty much. So what sort of things can we talk about with how this approach to time has changed the narrative of the game?
It's funny you say that. I'm actually working on a literal video discussing it, talking about whether or not we need another reboot. Is it needed for the franchise? And the crazy thing is that I'm in the mindset of yes and no in many different instances. And here's the thing, right? I don't, because we're talking about like time travel and so much like basically time travel fatigue. I'm on like on another level as a Terminator fan and being forced to watch the first 10 minutes of Dark Fate, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see this Mortal Kombat basically become the time travel fighter. Like that is not what it needs to be. That's never been its sense of identity, and I think that it should stray as far away as possible for that, regain its sense of identity. I think with time travel on the table, there's a lot of ideas to play around with. Like, there's characters who have died off screen or maybe included in like character endings that you could bring back. You could bring back all the dead characters from the comic book series or you could just kind of mishmash characters from like the 3D era or any sort of time. Like, it's all up to the writer's will and interpretation. The only thing that's limiting them at this point is their own creativity. The only worry I have when it comes to opening up this Pandora's box of freedom of choice are the limitations you set, because when it comes to time travel or blending anything in, you have to make the rules for how far you push the needle before it breaks. Because if it breaks and it snaps, then you kind of get an MK11 sort of situation where everything kind of matters, but it doesn't matter. And, you know, it's like with the whole kind of multiversal aspect of it, the inherent nature of it seems kind of cool on the surface because everything's canon, right? Would you guys agree?
Yeah, okay. I would.
Yeah. Comics aren't canon then. So does the multiversal canon actually matter? That's the problem.
That's the problem. Exactly.
No clear direction for it. So they need to, like I said, streamline it, have it make sense, because it's a conflict of ideas and you can't change something then reestablish something. And that's not me like throwing jabs at the studio. It's simply me as a fan wanting to see them make something so big and diverse, simple and easy, not just for me to follow, but for newer fans to follow as well. Because I mean, it's why I make the videos I do, because not everyone has the time or the resources to play those games, and it becomes problematic when people can't follow that.
Yeah, that is exactly the problem, and it relates right back to the comment that you made on our last Soul stream, where you're like, "Does that make all my videos pointless? Like, you know, like is anything canon anymore?" And that's the biggest issue. Like I've always been somebody who likes the concept of time travel, but it has been done to death at this point. Not just in Mortal Kombat, but in just media as a whole. Yeah, there's a sudden trend of time travel, and it's just okay. It's been done now. Let's move on. You know, we're done here. But if we can get a full-on reboot, which would mean there is no more time travel, and NRS or WB or whoever it is gives up this concept of a multiverse existing, and we just get that one universe of Mortal Kombat again. Because as you said, that is not the main, that has never been the main identity of Mortal Kombat. For me, the identity was always mysticism with martial arts and cool abilities, you know what I mean? As well as this random thrown together mishmash of characters of all types. You know, you got cyborgs with old school ninjas, with military characters, with this, that, you know, like random species from different realms. The realms was a big part of that identity, not the multiverse, not the different timelines, not the different worlds. That is where things went too far, in my opinion.
Because, like, as much as I enjoy, like, the new characters they introduced, I like the new generation of characters, minus Shaggy. The beauty of Mortal Kombat and the 3D era in itself, whilst I'm not a fan of it because I feel like there was a lot of good ideas that were never properly explored or utilized, the world building in that is phenomenal. Like, they did so much where it's like, how I phrase this? It's like they did so much so well, and it came at the sacrifice and like the suffering of the characters on the roster itself, because not every character was flourished or even really came back up until Armageddon, but the world building was amazing. Like, they did so much with it.
They really did. You had characters getting proper backgrounds and everything, and that's one thing that I really did miss about MK. Well, I guess in MK11, we lost the bios. And those were such an integral part of the game for me. I used to literally just sit there, like, for hours. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'd just sit there reading them. Like, I loved it. This was such a cool thing. In fact, MK9's crypt was one of the coolest things ever, because you were literally, you know, in this room where you could see the characters, their designs. You could choose their primary or their alternate. You could see how they were battle damaged and, you know, pristine. You could read all about them. They had another extra bio on the alternate outfit too. And it taught you so much about the world.
Yep, it served as an origin as well for the Mediterranean War Cult with Johnny's energy, which was never really properly tapped into, and it became a main plot MacGuffin for MKX. Like, it's
exactly
the smallest thing.
It's just as you said, there's amazing world building there. There's so much potential and everything, but then it needs to be done right.
Yeah, it's always half-baked, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
They want to commit, but they didn't. Because what was it? Deadly Alliance, if it was to have a main character, it would have been Li Mei. Didn't follow through with that. With Shigenko...
I'd argue that Scorpion was technically main character, but I get you, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was Shigenko. They made him the main character, didn't follow through with it. And then they had the ideas for, like, the one being for Armageddon, and then maybe even Shigenko coming back as a main character for that, considering how it kind of left off. Didn't follow through with it. Instead, we got Taven and Dagon, who had their little scuffle, and then that was it. I think after 4 onwards, the series suffers from a character development identity crisis, whilst building everything up around it. And I think NetherRealm relied too heavy on that for MK9 to 11, was not acknowledging enough of it to broaden their horizons. So, like, I'm of the opinion, I don't really mind Titans. If they want to expand the lore and the canon, please, by all means, go ahead. Like, I even said in an earlier video, if you want to introduce, like, Titans or something, say that, what was it, the bind that they put on the one being, the same thing they did for the Titans when, what was it? When Raiden messed up the timeline, it's where everything started to unravel, why the Titans now exist, and you also get the possibility of the one being, you know, slowly unraveling like a volcano that everyone's sitting on. Like, if you want to do stuff, yeah, if you want to like do something like that and expand the canon, do it. But don't drop this idea on us without like any foreshadowing, because it's why the Onaga worked so well. He got foreshadowed in Deadly Alliance. The
Perfectly.
of Deadly Alliance was based around his army, not specifically him. So by the time he arrives, you're like, oh, okay, that we're actually getting somewhere with this, which is, I guess, kind of why Armageddon in itself is kind of disappointing, because you kind of had the setup for the one being, and there was so much kind of lurching on that, and we ended up getting Blaze instead, which I love Blaze. I think he's really cool, but I'm just like, this is a left field turn. What is it about trilogies and in this franchise and not committing to what they lay out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sorry, Phantom, I know you want to say something now, but I just want to say very quickly, you brought up a comment by Jolly's Man, and this is exactly what we're saying. This is an opportunity to make the new lore clear, make it make sense, damn it. And yeah, that's exactly what we want. We need the lore to make sense. We need the lore to, maybe not even make sense is the right way of saying it, just make it so that it's consistent, at least as much as you can. And
I don't think it
I'm
will.
seeing, well,
Ever
maybe
again.
not.
Well, because I honestly think like they've said in the past, Mortal Kombat 11 is the end of Mortal Kombat, and this is something new that doesn't tie into the lore. I mean, I think we'll probably get like an hourglass scene or something, kind of like we've seen teases of, but that's, like I said, from in my opinion, it's probably like the Mortal Kombat 9 to intro, where people who play Mortal Kombat 9, they didn't really know what they were seeing. And it didn't matter because it didn't tie into the story after the resets happened. So this is something different, and I think the lore is gone. I think we'll get new lore.
That's so concerning, because I'm reading on Twitter and I mean other places where some people have the opinion that fighting games don't need lore. And I understand that Mortal Kombat is a fighting game. I understand that, the FGC, the fighting game community, cares more about, the characters and how they work in specific situations, learning them, labbing them, frames, etc., etc. I totally get that. I play that to an extent. I do it myself as well. However, just because you don't care about the lore doesn't mean that others don't. So to say that an entire game that really was known for its lore, as well as, the obvious lore and gore, doesn't need lore nowadays, when in reality it had arguably the best plot or the best lore of any of the fighting games in existence, at least in my opinion.
So I'm not saying
This
it
is
doesn't
weird.
need lore. I'm just saying the lore of Mortal Kombat is finished, and I think what we're going to get now is a brand new lore set. And I think history is going to have to make brand new videos for whatever characters we get. Because I think the lore that we've seen, it's done. I think whatever we get going forward is going to be something else. Like, hey, this is Qui-Gon, and he is Tundra Zero or something like that. Like, I think we're going to get Mortal Kombat. We'll still get Blue Ninja and Yellow Ninja. I think we'll still get Bruce Lee character, but it's not our Mortal Kombat anymore. I think this is going to be something completely different, and that's kind of what these teaser trailers have been telling me as I watch them. I'm like, okay, everything's destroyed. Like, everything. This is a new universe. We're skipping 12. 12's doesn't exist. We're not doing a reboot. We're doing something new. And again, this is just my opinion, but this is kind of the vibe I've been getting from these trailers so far.
See, if that is the case, then what history, if it works with what history said, and for example, they do go back to the Great Kung Lao era, and this turns out to be more of an origin in the first Mortal Kombat tournament, then that would work, in my opinion. To throw away all the past lore would be a complete mistake. I don't think Mortal Kombat fans would be okay with that. I really don't. I think that this would actually have quite the outcry, surprisingly, for a game, in my opinion.
Well,
I believe that if this lore is going to be turned on its head the way that you just said it is, it's going to fit in line with something like what history said about it going all the way back to the Great Kung Lao era, because that allows them to change those characters. Say, for example, you have the first Shirai Ryu clan member, the founder rather, who's branched off from the Lin Kuei, etc., etc. That could make sense because you're saying yellow ninja, blue ninja, etc. But that makes sense because it's a different point in time, and it could be a mantle. But if you're going to,
we're not doing time anymore. Time's exploded. Time's done. Like the hourglass is gone. If we get lore now, it's not that this lore is going to tie into the lore that we know. This is a brand new everything. And Mortal Kombat 9 did a reboot, but their reboot wasn't everything's brand new. It's like slight tweaks, and that kind of cultivated in Mortal Kombat 11, where the kind of little tweaks that Raiden had been doing had impacted Kronika enough to come out. Mortal Kombat 12/1 is skipping 12. This is not Mortal Kombat 12. This is not a continuation of that story anymore. This is something brand new, in my opinion. Again, so we could be getting, we could be getting the first tournament, but it doesn't mean that the first tournament is going to be introducing characters that we know or characters that tie into the lore that we know. Like, I think we're going to get a brand new lore set.
I think a good way of putting it is reestablish but trim away. And we get a lot of the older stuff, but maybe now we're in that era of like, what did we like from the previous timeline that we kind of want to reuse, maybe repackage, and what stuff do we want to like throw out completely that we didn't like or enjoy? What works, what doesn't work? That's why I even said earlier of like the mishmash of ideas, right? This is the perfect groundwork to set an absolutely new foundation whilst keeping its origins relatively similar, but just different enough that it's fresh and something newish for fans, but familiar. It's why I said like the requel aspect. It's like the foundation's the same.
I'm with you, history, completely. I feel like to answer it, or rather to retort to what Timo is saying, the best way is to go with a sort of balance. Phantom, you're saying that everything needs to go out the window, and maybe you're right with the whole explosion of time, sure, but if we're going to go down that line, that doesn't mean that we have to throw everything out the window. There are still going to be some consistencies here, as history just said. You have the groundwork. You have things from the past, which they're not going to throw away. Just the fact that even you said, Phantom, specifically, there might be a blue ninja, there might be a yellow ninja. That means that there is that foundation they are continuing with. And if they're going to be a blue ninja and a yellow ninja, you're most likely going to assume that there's going to be some form of clans. Lin Kuei, Shirai Ryu, maybe. But it depends where they stop with those foundations, really.
Yeah, and this kind of gives, if they did something like this, it would give them the opportunity to use characters that fans enjoy. Like, you could have Kenshi and Takeda in there, and they could be the same age and fighting against each other, and not have the father-son relationship. They could just be characters with their own backstories. So it kind of gives you the opportunity to reuse things, like trim the fat. And there's a really interesting question up here. And you do want to read that out for anybody?
How does Onslaught factor into all of this? Its own plot is kind of in line with the new trilogy, but also not. But kind of is. It's weird.
History, have you been looking at all into Onslaught's story?
So I haven't at all, and that's largely because I'm waiting for kind of all of it to drop so I can then play through it and then like do a full-on review. But in just a quick response to that, multiverses, baby.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, but kind of does.
I think Onslaught is like the last remnant of the Mortal Kombat 11 multiverse. I was
gonna say Yanni's hope there. I have to do that, but still,
it's Yanni's last hope to play as Jackie.
Yes, my favorite character.
So, and you know,
Any chance he gets, man.
and I think, you know, I kind of think they're still going to use the multiverse in things like that. Like you have multiverse in Onslaught. You have it in Mortal Kombat Legends, Snowblind, for example. Oh shoot! Spoiler alert. But yeah. So this is still something that's usable, but as far as the video game line, this could be its own thing. And from here on out, you know, we're getting a brand new Mortal Kombat, new tournament, same characters but new characters. Yeah,
I like the Omni-Man suggestion there.
From Delara.
Cool. Although very Homelander-esque.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
will
really
say
cool.
it is quite funny. We brought that up in chat because I picked up the entire collection of this.
No way.
Oh,
Yeah, I literally have all 3 volumes right next to me. It came of like 4 days ago. That's a weird
wow.
coincidence.
Time to get on the tinfoil hat. Something's happening.
yeah.
He's ready there for me, man. It's non-stop.
That's a good follow-up. So basically, Onslaught is Malibu comic style thing.
That's interesting, actually. That's a cool take on it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, even Mortal Kombat X is a Malibu comic style thing now because comics aren't canon. So I don't know. So Edonator says they will live again in my new era. That a quote from Liu Kang, saying that he was going to restore a lot of them. You know, kind of like that theory, my theory that I mentioned earlier. This isn't you guys' theory. This is my theory.
Okay.
It could be that, you know, Liu Kang has tried to get it right so many times that finally he just destroys everything. You know, Kronika was in that same boat. She was trying to make it work the way that she wanted it to, and it never really would. And so then she decided to step in. Liu Kang, he's not going to do the same thing that she did. So maybe he
step back.
Yeah, exactly. Like blow it up and let it land where
Bicycle kicks the hourglass.
That'd be amazing.
By the way, this is another example. It's off topic kind of, but this is another example of what I mean by recency bias with DLC characters. Ali Krasniki. I want to see Kratos too. That would be crazy. On one hand, I agree with you. He would actually be a really cool guest. But people are literally now just asking for Kratos because that was a recent game. You know what I mean? It's interesting. Oh. Yeah, you would definitely like Kratos in the game.
I would be interested. I'm not gonna lie, like, because I know if the Peacemaker and, you know, Homelander thing is to be true, then that means it would be more adult-themed comic book characters, which I'd also be fine with. But there's still a part of me that's lurching for like a return, video game guest characters. Like I would pay comical amounts of money to get Doomguy in a Mortal Kombat game. Like,
he would be a cool guest, 100%.
Didn't Carl Urban play the Doom guy in one of the Doom movies?
He did. The really bad one with The Rock. It was terrible.
Speaking of typecasting.
Yeah, I hate guest characters, but the one thing I did love about Kratos was that whenever you played as Kratos, you played as Kratos similar to God of War. You know, like you had your different inputs and stuff that would work more like God of War would, where rather than some of these other characters like Freddy, which I enjoy playing as Freddy, but his moveset was, you know, down towards punch and things like that. Like it's Mortal Kombat moveset. So he was such a unique character that I would love to see him come back.
Yeah, because what was it? He had the Blade of Olympus, and he would stab you with it, and that would then prompt like a quick time event where you'd be able to press the buttons corresponding with what was on screen. He's genuinely an extremely unique character in that instance, like gameplay wise. Despite the fact
very well.
Yeah, it's a shame though, because he was like tournament banned for being Xbox exclusives. Exclusive, sorry. So Xbox was the main format for Mortal Kombat 9, which is why no one ever really sees much of him.
That is a shame. That's one of the issues that really comes in with console exclusive characters. So hopefully we see less of that.
I hope so. Whereas the only receded memory of a crossover game for that character is going to be Kratos dancing in Fortnite on Xbox, which is a haunting image.
And then you'll get people saying, "Hey, look, it's the guy from Fortnite."
I hate those words.
Actually, Sinklon just mentioned, what about John Wick, Punisher, and Hellboy? Firstly, Kano has specifically said he doesn't want any of his characters in Mortal Kombat, but secondly, I'm pretty sure that was actually about John Wick. Hey, that's the guy from Fortnite.
Yeah.
Comment.
I'm rewatching Breaking Bad, and I recently heard somebody yell out, "Hey, isn't that Walter White from Fortnite or something like that?" And I was like,
"Oh my
what?
God.
What?"
Actually,
Yeah.
speaking of we mentioned, well, DLC now. Ali Krasniki. I think Ash Williams should come this time as DLC. Actually, didn't what's his name? I'm forgetting his name now off the top of my head.
Oh, the guy that played Ash?
Yeah.
I would have told you if you hadn't.
Now that I said that, you can't get
Bruce
it.
Campbell?
Yeah.
Bruce something.
Yeah.
What is
Bruce
it?
Campbell.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, cool. Didn't he specifically say that Ash Williams deserves his own game and he doesn't want to see him as a guest character in another game? Just recently?
Yeah. I'm sorry I forgot to bring that article, but yeah, he said he was in talks to have Ash in Mortal Kombat because they asked him about it. They asked him about it every once in a while, and he said, I think it would be nice if Mortal Kombat characters showed up in Ash's game. Ash Williams needs his own game, and
I agree.
Yeah.
Let Mortal Kombat guest on other characters. Stop bringing guests into MK.
Yeah, I do like that idea actually. But yeah, I mean, it kind of goes to show Bruce Campbell's. I hate to use the word arrogance because I am a big Evil Dead fan, but it's like arrogance that he might have earned in some ways to kind of say that sort of thing. So I don't know.
Totally earned, definitely.
I mean, he could just be the equivalent of old man yells at cloud, to be fair, but he did put in the work for a really long time, and I would like to see him pick up the mantle once again. Because I know he said he's retired from it, but he's also said I think he hinted in a tweet or something like he might have one more in him. So I don't know. I'd like to see him actually put in the work because I'm pretty sure that a majority of whatever Ash's moveset was from MK11 got shifted over to Joker.
Yeah. That seems very clear. Even just the trailer itself, with the chainsaw sound turning into laughing instead. Like, really?
And the initial face model reveal of Joker.
What, the GTA character?
We had quite a rough time with MK11 DLC, didn't we? I was so happy with Rain. Like that made MK11 for me in the end. I got Rain, I got Scarlet. I was happy.
You see, I was only bargaining for one character, and I was like, man, it'd be really nice to see Takeda in this game, and it looks like I'm not going to get him at all. But at least by the end of the lifespan, I realized before everyone else managed to pick up on it, Kodal busted. So I inflicted that on people all across Europe for a very, very long while.
Wait, what did you say? Kodal what?
Kodal was broken.
Oh.
Yeah, so I found out all of the Kotal Khan dirt before everyone else did. There he is. Weird. I'm not used to seeing his head on his shoulders these days, but even then, I found out all of that stuff, and now a lot of people have jumped on it. But yeah, no, that character's nuts. If only that spilled over to him and his lore.
Yeah. Yanni, what else do we got?
Well, we got a question from Humbucker.
Oh, the Snowblind question?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read it.
No, that's a different
one.
What were your thoughts on Scorpion's spawn-like characterization in Snowblind, and would that make for a good role in the game, like Warden of the Netherrealm, I guess? Now, we actually brought this up with Jeremy Adams himself, I think. I think we even specifically said he seemed very Spawn-like or Batman-like. Do you remember which one it was?
I think Spawn-like, yeah.
Yeah, because it was definitely a Spawn look in appearance, for sure. I liked that take on him, but I felt it was very fitting for that specific performance. I'm not sure if it would be the right approach for him at all times. I feel like if we're going to get that kind of Scorpion, it needs to build up to that rather than just come out of nowhere. He needs to be an angry man first. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially if we're rebooting.
Jeremy kind of, I think if I recall right, he mentioned, I'll have to go back and watch our own episode, but he kind of mentioned how the character was supposed to be the, we had Sub-Zero at his older age. And so they decided to make Scorpion at an older age and kind of experiment on how they would make him. And a lot of the ideas came from some of the other guys that were working on Snowblind, like concept designers and stuff like that. History, what did you think about Scorpion, old man Scorpion?
So, truth be told, I actually haven't watched Snowblind. The last one I watched was Defenders of the Realm, and
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, hence why, because I know what came out after that was also the Injustice adaptation, and that was also quite bitter from what I heard about it. So I was like, I'm gonna go away, because that's roughly around the time I also did start covering God of War, and I was like, I'm gonna go on my Mortal Kombat break for a bit, and then when I come back, I'll eventually watch it. Which, I do. Again, it's nice to hear good things from an animated Mortal Kombat movie.
You'll enjoy it.
I genuinely think Mortal Kombat works spectacular in animation. I really like Scorpion's Revenge. Again, it's something we've seen 1,000 times before, but the fact I get to see like Scorpion actually chop people up into hamburger meat is like comical in the most literal sense. And at this point, I know he's working on like another movie, I think with Johnny Cage. So I probably might end up binge watching it or actually, reviewing it properly, because I feel like after, how much I've heard about Snowblind, it deserves a video in itself.
Definitely. Snowblind was a lot of fun. Very different, but was really good. I really liked how I'm not going to spoil anything for you, although I'm pretty sure you've had so much spoiled for yourself already. But you can see that he really did get into the lore of the characters. He did his research to make this happen. And you can tell as well that he was not constrained in the same way that he was with Defenders of the Realm, which was 100% rushed. He straight up told us that they had to cut so much from it, and that was clear. So you're not going to have the same issue with Snowblind that everybody did with Defenders of the Realm. He had the same issues with it, and he wrote it. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to have a really good time with that one.
No, I look forward to it. Like I said, I like seeing more Mortal Kombat. And, we talk about Defenders of the Realm, but there's also other forms of Mortal Kombat media in the screen that is, like, way worse. So,
yeah.
No way. I look forward to watching it.
I'm jealous that you get to watch that for the first time again. Oh. So, I'm just thinking now, with Mortal Kombat 12, we've already mentioned we have all these trilogies of sorts, and we've just had 9, X, 11. We're moving into 12, which is technically apparently 1, if the leaks are to be believed, which is, I don't know, I feel like joking around that it could just be 13 as well, because we're skipping an entire game at this point. But what happens here? Do we consider this a new trilogy? Or do we consider this an entirely new approach to the games rather than trilogies being the case anymore?
That's a weird one, because again, it's going in on the assumption that any of us are right. But in any instance, if we are going to commit to a trilogy and we're going to set up like a big bad, the obvious one is to go with Onaga. Maybe have that be the finale of the trilogy. But I've always kind of had, again, we're going to whack this thing.
For good luck.
If we're gonna like reestablish some older ideas, and we want to get rid of the hourglass, by all intents and purposes, have hourglass Liu Kang go up against one being infused Onaga. Have that be the thing that breaks the hourglass.
That could be cool if it's not broken prior to that.
Yeah. Like it's one way of excluding it and bringing in older ideas again. Again, we're talking like settling like a new established lore ground for the canon. You know, it gives a new foundation for it to be worked on, and I think that's an avenue and a way out to make also things kind of matter and not have like an instant reset button at your hand.
Yeah, Edo has a comment here that we've all been commenting on for a while. Can you bring that up quickly, Phantom? MKX, who's next? MK11, you're next. MK12, what's next? I think it's more of a when's next at this point.
I think it's, what time is it?
11:45.
Going back to your question about trilogies, do we think this is the beginning of a new trilogy? I don't think any of the trilogies were intended to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
I you know, like we were talking about earlier with the 3D era, like every Mortal Kombat game kind of has its direction it's taking us, and then we get these weird turns. Like, you know, Mortal Kombat 2, we're like, oh wow, we're back into like this mystical, weird, otherworldly scenario, and it's like, oh, now we're on the streets of Chicago. And then Mortal Kombat 4, you know, it's like, okay, now we have gods in here all of a sudden. It's just, there's no real direction. But that being said, Mortal Kombat 12 or Mortal Kombat 1 could be like, maybe they've got this planned out a little bit better. Maybe this is an actual trilogy now. I don't know. I just don't feel like Warner Brothers and it gives NetherRealm enough opportunity to make a trilogy, and that's my opinion, because that's kind of what we've seen so far with Mortal Kombat 9.
Ignore trilogy then. What do you think about, is this a new era?
Oh yes, yeah. Well, that, you know, my idea is that I think it's a whole new everything. So yeah, I don't think it's just a new era. I think it's a new concept. Yeah, it's new characters, but old characters. I think it's going to be weird, and I think it's going to make a lot of us mad.
So say that time is completely fractured at this point, shattered rather, and you've got all these characters who may look like they used to us in a way, say Blue Ninja, Yellow Ninja, etc., but they're not acting, or they're not even the same people at this point in time. And we're saying, okay, that's fine because it's a new era, time has been broken. What about Liu Kang? Does he get to stay the same? Is he the only consistent character at this point now because he's Fire God Liu Kang? Or does everybody change because time has changed?
Maybe they're trying to kill him off again, like, and keep him dead. This could be the end of Liu Kang. You know, that might be part of the hourglass breaking, is a sacrifice of the chosen one.
Sure, but I don't think they're going to make him Fire God Liu Kang and then just kill him off immediately. So that's why I'm wondering, does he stay as the same character?
I think they will, because Mortal Kombat 11 is the end. That's the end of Mortal Kombat. This is Mortal Kombat. Long live Mortal Kombat. I don't think we're getting.
Shout out to David Craddock.
I don't think we're getting Mortal Kombat again. There's no continuation of Liu Kang's story. He fades away he walks in the sunset with Katana, and what we see next is, I don't even know if we'll see, we probably will, but I don't, like, they might just not even show us Fire God Liu Kang. Again, this is all my opinion, but yeah, I don't think we're getting him anymore.
What do you think, History?
It'll be interesting. I'm kind of the opinion. It's mostly because, like, when we talk about Liu Kang now, he's associated with the Hourglass.
Yeah.
He's a combination of literally the Chosen One and a god and a cosmic deity wielding the ability to shift reality at a whim. So to me, I wouldn't kill him off, but I put in a case and scenario of what I have and what I hold is too powerful, and people can't know something like this exists, or else people are going to come for me and they're going to want this. And in any cosmic, like, anomaly or whatever issue kind of happens, because as seen with the Hourglass as well, if arcade ladder endings hold any weight now, there's like fixed point in realities with Scorpion's family dying, lol, and they just kind of keep repeating that. Maybe it might be a case of there's always someone coming for the hourglass, so he keeps out of sight, out of sound. It's a good way of writing him out, as well as maybe Katana, and then appointing his former friends and allies as the new Elder Gods. Maybe those are the only ties you kind of have to the older timeline, but he's so far out of it, making sure that, you know, reality's kind of protected as the world keeps running without realizing what else is kind of going on.
What
To a
if
certain extent.
what if at this point, Fire God Liu Kang, you know, you have the Chosen One merged with an actual god. All the other gods are dead at the end of 11. Fire God Liu Kang also controls the hourglass, which, you know, we had a past guest, I think it might have been Breastpod, who thought that perhaps Kronika's crown is what the Titan actually is and not Kronika herself. But giving Liu Kang all this power, what if Liu Kang is the one being at this point? And the last grain of sand exploding is kind of going back to original Mortal Kombat lore. The one being was separated, and that's you know, it could be something kind of like that again.
But he's the realms technically, is he not?
Right.
That'd be kind of interesting. I'd be up for that maybe being explored, but I think as a main streamline canon, I think because of Liu Kang's consistency of being inconsistently the main character and him finally becoming the main character, I think people would be like, that's kind of cool, but I don't know if I'd be interested in seeing something like that. I mean, at this point, it's just down to our creativity. There's even the possibility, and I know, Yanni, you're going to absolutely detest this one, that essentially Liu Kang gaining the hourglass gains the attention of the other Titans. There's always
we get a Scorpion ending, basically.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Scorpion going around as a literal god of vengeance, breaking those gods to pieces is kind of cool on paper, but here's the thing. If you replace Titans with Elder Gods, immediately sounds cooler.
It does. It 100% does, but that also fits because it's kind of almost happened in the 3D era anyway, you know? But I don't know, like, I cannot think about accepting the Titans. Okay, no, I can't say that. That's not fair. I cannot accept the Titans even after thinking about them and trying to make them fit, because the Elder Gods have been that established body in Mortal Kombat for so long as the highest of powers, the only one of which was the one being who was technically stronger than all of them. And then from that to suddenly go to the Titans, it's just like, but that changes the entire power hierarchy and it just doesn't fit. And it also throws a sort of Greek mythological influence into this more Asian mythological influenced story instead, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, that's kind of been a weird thing with Mortal Kombat, especially during the 3D era, because they just started taking cultures and just throwing them in with the Mortal Kombat designs.
True.
And I think, like I said, it kind of works and doesn't work, because I'm like, it's so kind of open-ended that you could write them in, but you got to write them in. You can't drop them out the sky and it's like,
exactly. At
these
least
are the new Elder Gods.
Hinted them for a couple of games. Be like, just don't say, like, don't have Shao Kahn be like, so the rumors were true.
What rumors?
Exactly. Like, how about in one game be like, drop little tidbits for us. Like, let us follow that trail. Say, Raiden's like, wait, Elder Gods, what about this? Don't worry about that for now. That's a story for another time, you know? Then bit by bit, Raiden's like, there are Titans? I thought you were the highest of powers aside from the one being. You know, like, lead up to it. Get there somehow. Don't just be like, as we said, so the rumors were true. Like,
You know, I just realized they could have used Jade's MK9 ending.
Exactly what we've been saying for ages. That's exactly what we've been saying. It was there.
Oh, dude.
I
You just had that click now. It's like, hold up. It's right there. The entire... And
everybody was like, who is this? Who is this? You know? And it was there.
Oh, it is so problematic.
Somehow the Titans returned. We got a Star Wars right here.
Like I said, I'm fine if they want to do something with the Titans, but please, like, it's why. Side note and idea, and I think this would generally be a really cool way of doing it creatively. If they do a crypt mode, and the ways of actually deciphering each area of the crypt is grabbing a mural that tells the story of the Titans and the interaction like between them. Like you put into a wall, opens up a new area. You paint this picture that slowly forms, and once it's done, it just like plays out a cutscene for it. Like I think that's a good way of doing it without detracting from the main story of the game. Like if they want to do that,
that would be really cool. All right. Well, I think we dived in a lot deeper than I expected us to.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas,
discussion. Yeah, it feels like we're gonna have to have a follow up on this at some point soon. Mm-hmm. Let's see how things go. But that was that was a good continuation, I felt, of our last topic actually, and I'm really interested in seeing where this all goes. I wonder if anything, even one thing that any of us has said is actually going to be true when the time comes, or if we're completely way off the mark.
I hope so. Like I said, man, like we've talked about it relentlessly. Like Mortal Kombat's built on like this beautiful foundation and legacy, and it's not that it's ever been like neglected at all, but it's never been tapped into and followed through to the end of it. Like as of right now, the only real character arc that feels genuinely like finished, done, and over with is probably Raiden's and Liu Kang's.
Yeah.
Like that's as far as it goes. Like, oh, Kitana became Khan. That was a thing, and then she immediately basically loses the role and off the map.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many issues and inconsistencies of, you know, not to bring up spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. Have any of you guys had the chance to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
I just came back from it right before this episode.
One of the beautiful aspects of that film, and no spoilers for the chat, of course, what makes that movie so special is that you feel like that's the end. That's it. And it after when the credits roll and everything's done and finished with, you can kind of go away and saying, I don't need to see them again. I think I'm okay with that being it for them. And I think that's been Mortal Kombat's problem. It's that, we can bring everyone back every time. It's like, sometimes someone needs an ending. Like,
exactly.
Imagine if like Jax didn't come back for MK11, he got his happy ending. He stayed with Vera, and that was it. Happily ever after. We have Jackie, who takes his dash punch, turns it into a nightmare. That's it. Like that could have been the end of his story. And instead we just get ass shot and someone getting bamboozled pretty bad on stream, and his return was unnecessary. But you see what I mean? Like, there's a beautiful way to write out characters, and I think MK should really commit to that, because there's so many characters. It's a rotating door. You don't need to have the same character over and over again.
Right before Phantom inevitably ends us, because he's getting annoyed with me now taking the conversation further and further and further. What you're saying is completely true, and that's what we've been saying for a long time. We have so many roster choices who just do not get the time that they deserve. And it's not even about whether or not you can afford to remove other characters. It's about the fact that when do they get their chance? If you have such a set, compact roster who will always be picked, you will only ever be able to bring in 4, 5, 6 characters from previously and then have a certain number of new characters. You need to take those risks, and that's something that the 3D era did so well. They took those risks. They cut out characters entirely for no reason. Just threw in new characters, and it was just like, oh, great, here we go. We've got this character, this character, this character. Let's learn about them too. And that was awesome. And that's what they need to do now. They need to have the courage to just say, hey, we don't need the original 7. If they cut out the original 7 entirely, I'd be okay with it. Would I prefer to see Sub and Scorp stay, for example? Yes, I would. I'm very partial to the Ninja. But it would be totally fair if they decided to say, hey, no, let's get rid of them. I would be okay with that if it meant other characters on previous rosters actually managed to make a return. And they have that opportunity now with a full reboot of Mortal Kombat, if that is being the case, which is what I'm gathering from, or what we're all gathering from these trailers, from these teasers. They have the opportunity. I want to see them actually take it. I want to see a roster which, I say nobody imagined and which we all imagined, because we have been imagining this roster for a long time. We want these characters who have been missing for so long. We want to see an entirely new roster which we never expected NRS would pick, which we've all picked in our minds. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
Phantom.
Is the question, do I agree or?
No, it is me saying, feel free to lead us out.
Well, thank you for everybody for joining us today. To stay up to date with the latest episodes and never really miss a beat of the Realmcast, be sure to like and subscribe us wherever you're watching us. As we said, we're on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and the Realmcast airs every month on iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere else. So be sure to join us. We have a lot more discussions, and we are excited to celebrate this franchise of Mortal Kombat with you guys. And be sure to definitely follow History Behind the Warrior. I'm sure a lot of you guys already
and
are,
his tinfoil hat.
His stuff is amazing.
Even if it might no longer be canon, it still counts. Okay.
So, all right. Fun fact before we quickly finish off, I'm letting everyone know I will be remaking those history of episodes, but we're doing every timeline, movies, comics, and everything else.
Oh my god!
That way, I can't be wrong for the future. we ain't doing that again
until they say that it never happened.
There's an infinite amount of timelines. You're gonna have an infinite amount of videos. Just letting you know. History. Let everybody know where they can follow you. Just because you know all your handles.
Thank you very much. Well, before I quickly do that, thank you again for having me on, guys. Super appreciate it. A lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the tinfoil hat theories, as well as the unbelievably weird commitment to making this prior to the stream.
I want to see that hat again. You're not getting rid of it.
If you want to follow me on my socials, you can find me on Twitter at HBTheWarrior. You can find me on YouTube at History Behind the Warrior. And if you're looking for my Instagram, you can probably find me at HBTWarrior. That might not be the case. I've got two, with one of them I can't access. Either way, follow me there, as I usually post a lot of my esports career on there regarding like commentary and stuff. So you get a little bit of the lore side of things whilst understanding the competitive side of Mortal Kombat and what goes on behind the camera, and not just, me as a player.
And I highly recommend that to everybody. I've mentioned that I don't just like the lore, I like the fighting game aspect of it too. And History is the best person you could probably check out to transition from just lore as well also into the fighting game community in some sense. So definitely check out his stuff. He's got some really cool content you need to see if you haven't seen, as we said, not just lore related. And his commentary work really speaks for itself, because he's the one speaking. So, to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed today's discussion. I am here making bad jokes at all points in time for you. We have our next Realmcast episode prepared, but we are seeing how things go with whatever's going on with NetherRealm Studios and Mortal Kombat 12 or Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat 1-2. So we're not sure what's happening next, but we will definitely keep you informed via our usual channels. So be sure to keep an eye out for any news from our side as well. Phantom?
I'm actually super excited for our next Realmcast episode that I'm hoping we can release. It depends on what's going on with Mortal Kombat 12, but as Yanni said, everything is ready to go. So in the meantime, don't forget Mortal Kombat Online has some other shows that you should check out. There's Survival Saturdays, which is going to be Saturday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Survival Saturdays every Thursday at 9. I'm joking. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us on our 8th Soulstream episode. We really do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to History, without his tinfoil hat now at this point in time, for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us again. It has been way, way too long, and we need to do this again at some point, much sooner than 2 years, for sure, next time. To everybody listening, thank you so much for your support, your engagement. Really, we really love having you all here chatting with us. It's been so much fun. It's been very active today, which has been absolutely awesome. So let's try and keep this up for next time as well. Then this was so much fun. I want to do this again. So yeah,
like and subscribe, and you can find Yanni and myself, Phantom, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook. And you can also find Yanni, of course, on the Mortal Kombat meme realm, which is on Facebook and Instagram.
And it's extremely hot right now. We got memes coming out the oven constantly.
Kitchen's
You can
open.
also kitchen is definitely open. I'm cooking. You can also join our official Discord channel hosted on MKO Mortal Kombat Online server through the link in the description of this video, where we discuss Mortal Kombat along with you, our listeners.
And a special thanks to Uppercut Editions for their continued support. And don't forget the Realmcast is the official podcast of Mortal Kombat Online.
And you can catch up on all episodes of the Realmcast on realmcast.com, where you can also find our calendar for all of our upcoming content as we announce it as well. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.